Look at my shirt.
All right.
You guys like my shirt?
I do.
What is that shirt? I've always wondered what that logo is. Tell me
So for
about
people
that.
listening, this is the logo to Time Crisis.
Oh, interesting.
The
What
best
is
light
that?
gun game ever made.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Okay, you caught me
let's
there.
go down that rabbit
I was
hole.
gonna say,
Okay,
other than-
maybe not. But my personal favorite, I think.
Sure.
My favorite's 2, but this is for Time Crisis 1. So I thought this was a real vintage shirt. I got served an ad, and I, at a glance, was like, "Oh wow, this is like a real thrift. This is like a vintage shirt. Hell yeah!" And it was, overpriced. So I was like, "Oh, it's definitely vintage." Bought
because they were
it,
charging so much.
showed up, and it is 100% not vintage at all. It was just a
Can't believe you're the only person they
logo.
swindled with that, by the way.
I'm
You're
a
the
good-
only dude who fell for that.
I'm an educated consumer, dude. I'm usually on my shit, but I'm starting to get soft, and now I got this fake poser gamer Time Crisis shirt.
Yeah.
Time Crisis,
people would judge
the
you.
metaphor for my life.
Is it like
Nice, man.
what was the website pretending that it was a thrifted one? Was it just you just looked at it, you
It was-
judged it?
He literally clicked on one of Elon's ads on Twitter.
No.
That's what he did, right? Yeah, you
No,
did.
it was one of
Yeah, you did.
Zuckerberg's actually.
Yeah, I
was
think
this
it was
one of
like
the
it was a
Zuck ads.
Facebook or Instagram thing.
You're browsing Facebook, man. Jesus.
Just-
you really
just
are a mark
marketplace.
at this point.
Just
Totally.
marketplace for weird shit.
Yeah.
Did you know you could buy McDonald's garbage cans from the 90s on Facebook Marketplace? Incredible.
No.
They're big. They're functional. Why not?
You can find all kinds of weird stuff, like a custom made. I saw it was in New Jersey. It was going for
Of
like
course.
$500. It was a Christian Bale Dark Knight era bat suit, full custom
Right.
bat suit, but for a triple XL person. And it was like movie accurate, but obviously of a different
But
shape.
Fat Man as
Yeah.
opposed to
Yeah.
Batman. Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Incredible. Facebook
okay.
Marketplace is the only reason why Facebook should still exist, for great finds like that. It
How much was the
Yeah.
batsuit?
was like $500.
That's a steal.
I feel like that's a
Thought
good
about
deal,
it.
to be honest.
Yeah.
If you were like that, I mean, you could just put on the weight to get into the suit, right?
Fill
like,
out the
that'd be
suit.
worth it. Fill out the suit, you work on it, you'd be fine, you know?
Yeah.
Just fill up a few McDonald's garbage bins worth of food and you'd be
Easy,
sweet.
no
you know what I
problem.
mean? So the package deal, like people also bought those kind of like recommendations. Like,
There's good stuff on there.
Yeah.
We should do. I tell you, what, we should do an episode where we just like go through Facebook Marketplace and find weird gaming shit.
Gaming.
And
Oh,
we
I would
just-
love that. I
Yeah.
found some
I would
weird
love
stuff.
that.
That'd be good actually.
A lot of
That'd be
Lara
nice.
Croft statues. There's like an alarming amount of Lara Croft, like Tomb Raider 1, like era big marketing statues.
Okay.
I found the Metal Gear Solid 4 Snake statue, like the one of him crouched
Oh, yeah,
and like
yeah.
half blending into the pillar. I found one of those on Facebook Marketplace. It
And
was
you
going for like
didn't buy
$1,000, so I
it?
didn't buy it. No, it was too much.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was in my local area, it was just like in Brooklyn somewhere. Like, are you kidding me? Anyway,
I always
Yeah.
keep like an alert out for things like litter robots and what do you call them? The litter
Doc Martens.
the robot vacuum.
Oh, Roombas.
Yeah. Because I'm not paying full price for one of those little robot
Okay.
vacuums.
worth
Does
it.
anyone have a Roomba?
So
Does
many
anyone
people
have
in
those?
San Francisco have them.
Okay.
Dude,
Okay. Let me ask you
I
this.
can't live without a Roomba.
Okay, but like, okay,
I'm on my third Roomba.
really, but like,
I'm on the subreddit.
I didn't even know there was a subreddit.
Oh God, I want to see that subreddit so badly. But like, okay, how much room can it actually?
But-
Like, I feel like unless I have a house the size of like a fucking Cribs mansion, that I feel like just use a vacuum cleaner, man. Don't be so fucking lazy. Like, do you really need a Roomba if you've got like a little house?
So the one that I want has the mop. Because
Oh shit.
yeah,
Okay.
because you can. Because I'm not like my current place is all carpet. I have 2 cats, but the next place I'm going to be moving into has a lot of wood flooring,
Floorboards?
floorboards.
Okay.
I don't want to be mopping.
Should have got one on Prime Day. They were like selling all the time. Every flash sale was like some different Roomba deal going. Blah blah blah. Did you guys get anything during Prime Day?
Yeah.
No.
It was
I didn't
actually
get
a good
anything.
Prime Day.
I
They're
actually
usually
bought
shit.
tons of garbage.
What'd you
100%. I bought like some comic books. I bought like a random phone charger that I didn't need. I'm probably never even going to use.
Was
but
it the
I'm like,
one
"That's a
with the
good deal."
magnetic back?
That's the one. God damn it, you know me. And I just bought other random assorted garbage that I'm probably. It's like it is the Amazon Prime Day is the equivalent of a Steam sale. Okay.
Yeah.
It's when you go through and you buy a whole bunch of shit that you're like, I'm never gonna use this, but I've got it now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because it's a couple of bucks, it's fine. It's, you know what I mean. The charger admittedly was more expensive, but you know.
I got a lot of good stuff. I got Philips Hue light bulbs, which are always expensive.
Ooh,
so for them to be on discount, that was nice. I got wipes, like toilet wipes, like those types of things. I got like a 60 pack for like nothing.
Whoa.
I bought a light switch for the Hue lights, like one of those ones you can mount anywhere.
Yeah.
Huge. Crest 3D white strips.
Oh, they're very good. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very good. I got those for like nothing. I also bought like 3 of the attachment that goes into the HyperX Cloud headset because I always lose them. Yeah, the little mic
attachment. Oh, right. Yeah, sure.
I unclip them, put them somewhere, and I lose them. So I just have a drawer full of them now for like $10.
Okay.
And Roomba parts. I got replacement parts for my Roomba because you always have to keep them maintained.
I didn't know that about Roombas.
I'm a big Roomba maintenance guy.
I was gonna say on the subreddit.
We're real concerned about software updates and features being taken away. It's unfair.
This podcast is not being sponsored by Amazon, by the way.
No.
Just in case it was all unclear. But guys, tell me what did you buy in the most recent Amazon Prime Day sale? Wow, there was some great bargains, weren't there? You know, looking forward to the next one.
I really hope next year instead of the Megan, we had the Megan Thee Stallion adverts for it in America. I really hope next year it's you guys. Just be like this year on Prime Day.
I reckon. Yeah, totally.
Could be.
Just roll this bit, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. Yep.
What do you reckon of Jeff Bezos' new look?
He has a new look?
I reckon it's a bit... Oh, yeah, he's got like this whole jacked look thing. He looks like Pitbull.
Yeah, he's fit as fuck.
Yeah.
Jacked as hell. He's like Lex Luthor on roids.
He is, exactly right.
Jeff
totally
Bezos.
Agree. I think it's better than the Elon look, where he looks like... Not good. There's something weird going on with his torso, man. Something strange.
But then you have Zuckerberg's like corporately mandated cool look. Like where that's PR. I'm like, he looks cool
PR.
now, but that's PR. There's no way.
Is he
and
trying
he does the
to
thing
like?
Where he's surfing and shit.
Is he trying to zaddy himself? You think that's
what's zaddy? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's definitely. Are we
like,
gonna do
you
this?
need to translate. You're gonna translate it. Come on, man. Come on. I told you. I'm disconnected.
I'm translating, or Jake's gonna translate.
You probably should.
A zaddy is like, you've got a MILF, a DILF. A zaddy is like DILF, but it's also like an energy. It's a way of being. Like, it's a confidence. It's like zaddy energy.
I can understand it. All right.
So,
right.
Yeah. I mean,
he's rocking that. So good on him, I guess. When you have $500 billion, however much he has, you can afford a personal trainer.
What would you look like if you had $500 billion?
I would just be getting all the liposuction all the time. Like I'd have like a daily liposuction.
Just become a Bioshock citizen of Rapture.
Yeah, totally. Eat whatever I like, and then at the end of the day, it all just gets drained out of me. That's fine. I'm not gonna do the whole Botox thing because I'd worry I'd end up looking like Matt Gaetz at the RNC, which would be scary, and I don't want that fate.
Yeah.
Luckily, I don't need hair plugs, but maybe one day, man.
Yeah, you guys both have a great head of hair.
It's holding together. It's staying there.
Yeah, we're doing all right.
That's it, really. So, yeah, man. It's spare no expense when it comes to that stuff. If you've got the money, spend it on bionic enhancements. That'd be it.
I would get new knees. Just my knees aren't even bad. I would just get new ones.
Genuinely,
why not?
If I was rich, I would have a masseuse and I would get a massage every day. That's like the one thing I would do. I would love that. This idea coming to you from the fact that I hurt my back picking up a pillow at the weekend. So
serious question though, if you guys had $1 billion, do you reckon your day to day would be like that different?
Absolutely.
You reckon?
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, it would be different, but like, I like to think I could stay grounded.
Yeah, I unironically believe that if I had $1 billion, my life would be basically the same, which is to say that my house would be nicer and I'd drive a nicer car, sure, but I would still literally be sitting around playing video games being like, this game sucks. I mean, like, that would be it. And then at nighttime, I'd be like, time to rewatch The Sopranos while eating potato chips. Oh, yeah, baby, this is peak.
Okay,
like,
wait.
I reckon,
yeah,
honestly,
right.
that is what my life... If you give me $1 billion, I'm still doing that. I don't want anything other than this. So you know what I mean? Like that's
Except for me, there would be a fucking Roomba going around, like
that's right.
just one
This army
Roomba.
of Roombas all like playing ping pong against each other. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So you don't become like me. I'm the rich brain rot person where I'm like, I need two Roombas. You don't want to become like me. It has
Well,
corrupted me.
if you're a billionaire, you could have 2 Roombas. It's fine. Anyway, this is a video game podcast. Hi everyone, welcome.
No, it's not. Don't be ridiculous.
I mean, it's a weird year for video games, but we will get into that. Welcome to the Friends Per Second podcast. I'm Lucy, joined by Ralph
That's me.
and Jake.
That's me.
The pauses on both of those.
I was drinking. He
I
was just
know,
doing
I'm
it for
sorry.
dramatic effect.
He was being Batman. And yeah, have I said I'm Lucy? I forget. If I forgot, then you got it.
Everyone knows.
Everyone knows it's me.
Yeah.
right. Yep.
Yeah, we had to talk about video games. This week's episode, we're going to talk about the fact that the vibes for 2024 are weird.
Very weird.
Because we were trying to think about stuff to talk about, and then we all just kind of came to the conclusion that this is a very, very weird year. We've got some questions, user questions from the email and from our brand new newsletter that we launched in the last episode. If you signed up, thank you so much for doing so. And thank you to everyone who has left very nice comments on it. It is friendspersecond.substack.com. It's basically a recap of everything we talk about in the show. So if you can see me, for video watchers, I was going to say video listeners, that'd be weird. Making notes is because that's what I've been doing. And then I put it into a newsletter and put links and stuff in. The
Games we talk about in case you missed them.
Yeah.
Because we throw out a lot of games.
A lot of references. If we ever talk about something that we have watched that week or like reference a news article or something, we put links in there too for wider context, like a little bit of extra reading, behind the scenes stuff, all that good stuff. So if that sounds like your bag, Substack, Friends
Please
Per
join
Second,
us.
Please join us.
Stay a while and
Yeah, and
read the newsletter.
Read it. Open it. I don't know.
Yep. Open it.
Open it. But yeah, so we're not going to spam you with stuff. It's basically every time an episode comes out. And yeah, we also get user questions from it. So we do have some of those later on in this episode. However, what's a neat segue into our nice newsletter that we enjoy making and people like to, everything's a bit shit right now, isn't it?
I kind of want to, Ralph, if you could kind of go into how you were thinking about this before we started recording, because this came up kind of organically with you just
Sure.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I have definitely felt this year feels very different to last year. And there's some really obvious things that you can point to, being like, oh, there are less blockbusters coming out. And that's true. I agree with that, of course, right? But I also feel, and this is very vibes-based, it's very vibes-based, okay? But it just feels like there's a shift going on right now with regards to where people are placing games in their lives, right? I think last year and even the years prior to that, really, like I think games were really very central to people's the communities that we're interacting with, right? I feel like right now everyone's taken a bit of a break from video games. That's the kind of vibe that I'm getting, yeah? And part of that is to do with the fact that there are fewer blockbusters, sure. But I think as well, it just seems like there's less sort of discourse going on and everyone's kind of in a bit of a holding pattern. The major players in terms of platforms, Xbox, Microsoft, Sony, Xbox, Nintendo, Sony, they're obviously not releasing much this year either. What is popping off and going quite large is like free-to-play stuff. Like The First Descendant is going huge. Once Human is going huge. Zenless Zone Zero. Marvel Rivals just went into open beta a few hours before we started recording. That already has like 60,000 concurrent players, right off the drop. I feel like, yeah, it does. And I think as well, what I've really noticed is like the chatter around indies, which I think is an interesting like barometer when you're thinking about how much people are talking about games, thinking about games, experimenting with games. I've never seen less chatter around indie titles than I have right now.
Yeah, it even felt like Animal World came and went very quickly.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree. But I think there's some really fantastic indies that are dropping all the time. Like, for example, last week, Dungeons of Hinterberg came out. That is a great video game that got fantastic reviews. Everyone absolutely loves it.
Angerfoot. Angerfoot was one that people were really like,
Totally.
angling for, and now it's out. And
and it's nothing really happens there. It just, I've as I said, I've talked about indie games on my channel every single week for 4+ years, and I've never seen less interest in that scene or chatter in the comments and developer reach outs, and they're like, because a lot of the time developers would hit me up being like, oh, hey man, we got so many wish lists as a result of that shout out, blah blah blah, thank you. That hasn't happened right now, because I think as well, and I know I'm talking a lot, so I apologize.
No.
This is just a big dump in terms of whatever. I think a lot about that stat that I saw a little while ago, which basically said that the majority of playtime in a given year, you add up all the hours that people are spending playing games, most of that playtime is going towards games that came out like 5 to 10 years ago. Lucy's got that list there in front of her, which is from Matt Piscatella's, he's an industry analyst. What is that list? Like, what's the top 10 playtime?
So the Sakana, this is US player engagement tracker. Oh God, if I'm writing this for the newsletter, I'm just gonna go Sakana tweet. Look at list. Look at banner, Michael. Because it's 10 games. So like, if you look at this is for July 13th on PC. It's Elden Ring, Counter-Strike 2, which held it like the top 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the top 10 have the same ranking as the previous week. Elden Ring, Counter-Strike 2, First Descendant. Once Human is in at 4, that's brand new. Helldivers 2, Destiny 2, Rocket League, Baldur's Gate 3, Team Fortress 2, and Dota 2.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking, and similar to that, I'm looking now at like concurrent player counts on Steam over the last period. It's a lot of games that came out like 5 to 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at console, it's like it's GTA on there, Call of Duty,
Fortnite, Minecraft,
sports games, EA, whatever. So I think and similar to the way that I keep going back and watching The Sopranos over and over again because I have a problem. It's like you like to just return to what's comfortable and what you know, and that's the vibe that I'm in personally this year as well. I think, right? I'm also finding myself less naturally drawn to like that experimentation and discovery and whatever else. I kind of feel like I'm also just in a bit of a,
a funk.
Just not a funk's not quite the right word, but I'm very happy to return to the things that I know. Like I'm obviously playing a lot of Destiny right now, and I got to play Elden Ring recently, and I just did like another half playthrough of that because I was like, I just want to play some Elden Ring, man. You know what I mean? And that's not a 5-year-old game, but it is a very Souls-likes are a very known quantity. You know what I mean? You sink back into that kind of FromSoft thing. And I'm still playing Marvel Snap, which I've been playing for years now and whatever. So I'm playing some stuff that I am enjoying outside of that. Like I just played Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess, which I'll talk more about later in the episode, which I actually love.
I really like that game.
But in general terms, I'm really just finding myself willing to revert to what feels comfortable at this point. And I almost feel like I'm in a bit of a hibernation period as well, where after 2023, there were just so many games, it was so big and whatever. Now I'm just kind of like, all right, let's just chill a little bit. You know what I mean? And also because the industry is not popping off the way that it did last year in terms of releases. It's not as stimulating as it was. So again, I'm kind of happy to be in that comfortable rut. Comfortable rut, I think, is kind of maybe what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a big dump of just like random ideas that I had, but that's where I'm at. That's what I've seen in my comment section. That's what I've seen across chat. How do you guys feel about it?
I can only talk about my own experience, but it does happen to coincidentally fall into the same type of thing. I feel like I'm playing less right now, and I don't know if it's like a recency bias because I mean the beginning of the year had stuff like Dragon's Dogma and Final Fantasy right out of the gate, big ass games.
Yeah, because that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And so right now, it's a little bit more of a lull. Things are still releasing. I'm still covering a game here and there, but I've kind of bounced back. And I don't know if it's like the summer, the weather, because I'm usually not the type to be affected by like, hey, this summer, school's out. What are we doing? I'm always inside playing games.
Yeah.
So this is the first year in a while where, and even, we've had slow gaming release summers,
Yes.
but this is the first one in a while where I really feel like it's like I'm either catching up on stuff from last year or, not really playing much, or just playing, like you said, just old stuff you keep going back to. It's interesting. I wonder because for me personally, I live on, it sounds sad, but like I live on like the anticipation of the next thing. I'm always like, oh, cool. What's the trailer for that thing? Oh, cool. I can't wait to think about that game a lot and look at it on message boards, and then it's going to come out and then I'm going to obsess over it. Like I haven't really had that cycle in a while. And I don't know if it's just because there's nothing that's scratching my itch, or is it the fact that, Xbox this year is going to have like what, Avowed and Indie, PlayStation has just Astrobot kind of,
and the
Concord.
Lego Horizon
and the Lego,
game.
so things that aren't Concord, not for me.
Good one, Luce. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But they do have
Very
it.
bold, very bold of you to assume that game will actually get released. Very bold of you to assume.
So while it's like maybe a quiet time right now, I wonder if it's also like my subconscious like looking ahead a couple of months
Yeah.
and not being super jazzed for much either. So I'm just a little bit less in the gaming because it's very weird for me to say this, that like I haven't been playing much. Like to even admit that it makes me feel like uncomfortable.
Sure.
But,
no, I totally agree. I think you're right. That anticipation of the future is energizing.
Yes.
Because you look at a whole bunch of big stuff and they're like, damn, man, that's, I don't know, it just kind of gets you in that mood where you want to play something else that's kind of like that thing that's coming, or you're just interested in the chatter. And that's another thing as well. I would say I'm actually engaging content creation and like criticism and articles. I'm engaging that stuff less this year for sure. Even for the games that I'm interested in, I'm just engaging that overall ecosystem less. I'm not sure if you guys are experiencing the same thing. There's still some people that I always check out, always follow. There's some newsletters. We talked about this last week, actually. There's some news sources that I'm really very close to, and I always really value what they have to say. But I'm just overall consuming less of that commentary around video games. Obviously, because there is less of it being produced, I think, because there's less to talk about right now.
Yeah.
But even on stuff where there is, discourse, I'm a bit more like, okay, that's fine. I'll come back to that later, or I'll skip that one and focus on something else, or just disconnect, like be offline more.
It's interesting. I think so I'm always still kind of like watching, checking things out, but it goes back to what you were saying in terms of like talking about online. Like I think, and I can't speak for every content creator, but like some I've observed out there, and myself, like views are just kind of down.
Sure.
For my channel and for Game Ranks, like we've always been up, and this is like one of the first times we're down. And for a while I was like, my star is fading. I'm finished. Nobody cares about us anymore. But it's really just kind of the state of things right now. It's in a weird lull, and I'm watching less.
Yeah, this is what I always think about as well. I'm like, is this just because there's not much coming out now? Or is there like a subtle shift going on in the industry about the way that the games that we're interested in, what's going to pop off and what's not, how we talk about it online? Like, because don't forget, this is like a generational thing. And we've been doing this now I've been doing it for like 7-ish years. Jake, you're a little bit longer than that.
Over 10.
Right?
Yeah.
Over 10. Yeah, but you, in terms of doing game stuff, is it 10 for you?
Yeah.
Because you were doing earlier stuff. It's 10 for games, right? Sure. I think there are generational cycles on YouTube in terms of the way content exists and what pops off and what doesn't. It shifts subtly and not. And I wonder if that's happening right now. I think as well we're looking at... There's also generations in terms of video games. And I don't just mean console generations. I mean like the type of games that get made and what's big and what's popping off. Like, for example, a lot more games coming out of like Korea and China right now are really going massive, and this free-to-play space is shifting a lot. And Once Human has had a big launch, First Descendant massive as well, Zenless Zone Zero absolutely insane, Marvel Rivals we just mentioned, that's a bit different though because it's grounded in the sort of Marvel IP, which is obviously US centric. But my point is, it's just kind of like, I don't know if right now what we're seeing is a sign of a permanent shift in games coverage, discourse, releases, genres, whatever, or if it's like, nah, man, there just aren't many games. Chill out, it's fine. we get back to things next year when we get like 2025.
Grand Theft
is gonna
Auto
have some
6.
big releases, and off we go. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like Grand Theft Auto 6 obviously is going to be pretty transformative for the industry because a lot more people start buying consoles and the chatter picks up and whatever else. Monster Hunter Wild. There's a lot of big. I'm not going to list them all, but a lot of big games coming next year. But
It's funny because
I don't know.
like,
Go on,
I
Liz.
think I feel like quantum about it because I completely agree with what you both said about being disinterested and disengaged and not having like that much to be like big stuff to be excited about. But I just opened my Steam library and I'm looking at the games that I've played this year that I have been like super like Indica or something like
Sure.
Lorelei and the Laser
Yeah.
Eyes, and I'm just like, man, I've played some really good shit this year. Played some good shit like that we'll talk about later today, like in Kunitsugami and Ate French help.
sure. I
but
don't
like
know, but yes.
I've been playing a bunch of really good stuff, but it just it feels like overall that excitement is just kind of dimmed. Like it's weird.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I mean, I think you've talked about like Lorelei for example, right? And Lorelei is PC only, I believe.
And Switch.
Oh, it's PC and Switch. Okay. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, really fantastic game. It's very overwhelmingly positive on Steam. It has a total of less than 1,000 Steam reviews.
That is
You know what I mean?
nuts to me. Like Kunitsugami, I did see someone. I think it was
Yes.
Ethan from Kotaku. Ethan Gatch said that like it hasn't even broken 500.
Nope, it's got 467 reviews. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. Kunitsugami is an actually fantastic video game, as is Lorelei, but I haven't played it, so whatever. But
That is a
there are
fantastic
lot of
video
these
game
games-
too. I have played it.
Yeah, but, and it's like, okay, well, what's going on there, right? Like, Lorelei is not available on Game Pass. Kunitsugami is, okay? So that, obviously, you'd get a lot of players through that, absolutely. But but we've seen time and time again that a game can still perform really well on Steam even though it's on Game Pass. Like Power World proved that at the start of the year, for example, right? That's another thing. So this is kind of what I'm talking about, where these fantastic indie games come along, and I think in the past those sorts of games would actually have a real shot at getting picked up and talked about. And I know Kunitsugami isn't indie, by the way, but it has a lot of indie energy. Even though it's Capcom, it feels like it's a straight up indie. Like they've done nothing to market it. It's really small in scope. It's discounted price, whatever. So yeah, just that kind of lack of interest in that scene is worrying. And just today, Humble Publishing was closed.
Yeah. So not to be because there has been some misconception about this. People are thinking Humble Bundle.
No.
That is not. It's
exactly.
Humble Games, the game publishing arm of that that business. So yeah.
And that is like really bad because that is actually a top tier label. It is super it really flies below the radar. But I've always followed very closely what Humble put out because they've actually had an excellent eye. I would actually rank them up there with Devolver, with the level of consistency in terms of how good their portfolio is. And that publisher, it doesn't exist anymore. It's just gone. You know what I mean? And there's been a number of other indie publishers over the last little while that have closed as well. Sorry, Lucy.
No, Nathan Grayson posted something on Aftermath that I haven't read yet, but I did see there was a block quote, and it was basically like the people who own Humble Games didn't realize how long it takes to make games. And there was a lot,
Ziff Davis.
Yeah, and there was a lot.
Sure.
I think there were a lot of spicy quotes in that one, so I just want to call it out to mention it. I've only seen like bits and pieces of it, but yeah. And Austin Walker commented and said it's like this kind of hubris and like this aftermath, different to the publication of like the acquisitions that we have seen over the past few years, like kind of come into fruition. So fucking sucks.
I mean. I hear all that. But I also believe that, like this, for example, Humble, right? And this is just the reality. Bo Path of the Teal Lotus just released a week ago. It is a really great game. It's got like 84 on OpenCritic, 83% very positive on Steam, a total of 287 Steam reviews. You know what I mean? So,
but it's like,
there's something going on there.
Do you
know
think
what I mean?
it's a wider thing? I really wonder what engagement engagement is like on outside of gaming, like in terms of, are we as a society just like desperate to, I mean, I'm sure you can both say the same thing, but it's like the news is just so relentless and depressing that I'm at the stage now where I just like don't want to be on my phone. I don't want to be doom scrolling. Like even like previously I would doom scroll and I would get like a kind of perverse satisfaction about it or whatever. Now it's just like it's so relentless that I'm just pulling away from it completely. And that is why like there are so many games coming out, and so I haven't delved back in, but I have never felt a stronger want or need in my life to replay the Mass Effect trilogy. That is my ultimate comfort game.
That is exactly what I'm talking about.
And it's just like,
it is that
I don't want
desire.
I don't want anything new. I don't want to look at anything. I don't want to perceive anything that's happening anymore. I just want to go back to the Citadel and have a good time with my...
Yeah, the mental bandwidth for something new is not there, but the need for comfort and familiarity is required.
I agree with that in part because I agree, and obviously like we live in a bubble where we're like terminally online and we're doom scrolling and we're like
we also live in interesting times.
Well, yes, we all.
But we're turbo gamers.
So I agree that there's that. I wonder if it does result in this sort of like subconscious reflex to just be like fuck off, just let me sit back and play. You know, this thing that I already know.
Morrowind
watch
again.
This TV show, Morrowind again, or like let's go and watch like the Marvel, like the Infinity Saga again. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there probably is some element of that. You know, but it seems like it's happening on different fronts. You know what I mean? Like I think we also talk about just like the contraction of console sales. And they're not selling as much as they used to. This generation has felt really off kilter because of the game development timelines. How few great games we've had this generation, platform exclusive great games. The fact that Nintendo is winding down for this generation. There's a lot of that just creates this kind of feeling of just things are just listing slowly off track, you know.
There was even a whole thing like not about it wasn't purchasing, but like there was even a whole thing about like GDQ viewership was down.
Interesting.
And people were like freaking out about that one. It's like they still obviously raised millions for charity, and like viewership on some of the VODs and stuff was exceptionally strong, but it was just like people were like, well, it's lower concurrence than last time, so oh my god, what GDQ's gone to the dogs or whatever. It was like it's just
Yeah, I think I don't know. At the same time, I always feel at the same time, look, if it's a temporary thing or if it's a more generational shift with regards to the nature of content, video game genres, whatever, I still feel as though there are some like universal truths and universal appeal to certain things, right? We're still going to want to find some good indie games every now and then.
Oh, yeah.
And we're still going to tune in for that, you know? And maybe there's not quite the same demand that there was, but it's still going to be there. And we're still going to want good games coverage from the people that we trust. And maybe we don't follow 12 people for that. Maybe we restrict that down to like 3 or 4 people. But I think we're still going to want to engage them, you know? And so, I don't know. I guess this is me being sort of optimistic about where all this goes, but it's like I've said in the past about consoles. Like I still believe there's a future for consoles. I still believe there's a future for physical media. Maybe it's a different size or shape, but like it still is gonna be there. These things are gonna be there. So
well,
I don't know, Lucy.
Capcom literally just said, given the significant number of end users demand physical games, we currently do not expect to eliminate physical products. Like Capcom literally just came out and said that. We're coming off the back of EVO, which is enormously like Evo was so successful in person this year that people couldn't even get into it. I saw
the biggest Evo ever.
Yeah, biggest Evo ever. Like, and then
there are definitely some positive signs as well. And I think this and I don't feel down in the doldrums about this. It's not like, oh, everything sucks, man. It's just kind of observing how I'm feeling about what's going on right now and talking about it.
It's the existential episode.
Exactly right. It's right. I don't believe everything is fucked. I've never bought into that that kind of mindset for anything in life, really. But it definitely just feels different. Like as we've said in the title, the vibes are off. They are definitely off.
I mean,
and
there's so many things too, like that we haven't even really hit too much on, right? Like the shrinking back of these corporations and like borrowing money, spending a bunch of money, investing in new IP, that next new crazy thing. We do see a lot of remakes, remasters right now because it's safer. There's corporate consolidation. Everything's buying up everything else, and then so many other studios are closing. So there is also that whole aspect of things that are shifting where it's like, you do hear that and you're like, what is going on? I just want to play Mass Effect.
Yeah. I mean, I like, again, Matt Piscatello is getting so many shout outs in this episode, but like,
he's good.
He is good. I've been following him for a long time, but like he says, I do think we're through the worst of it. Last several months have been rough for the console market, but there are more than a couple of reasons to believe we should start seeing a rebound. And he links to this article on Yahoo Finance where Reggie Fils-Aimé is quoted. I've seen similar sentiments from people like GI.biz and Game Developer. And it's like, that's not to say that the bad times are completely over, but there are things to look forward to. Like some games are starting to get funding again. Layoffs, thank God, are slowing down. And that kind of thing. So it is this kind of... But let's not obviously to undermine everyone who has lost their jobs or had their project cancelled or their studio shut down. Like, you can absolutely still mourn that, and it fucking sucks. But hopefully we've got a silver lining coming out. And everyone's bets right now are, hey, as soon as GTA marketing starts spinning up, as soon as Switch 2 marketing starts spinning up, it's like...
It's big.
Yeah, it's big stuff.
Yeah, and I legitimately do look forward to Switch 2 because I think it's going to be interesting to see Nintendo flex their muscle in that way with that kind of war chest that they've had after this past generation, that kind of momentum, what they could do with that platform if they wanted to. Game development timelines are still really long, and Nintendo take their time with their stuff. They never rush it. But, they've got a lot of capacity after this past generation. They've got the ability to take some risks. They're not the safe publisher. They've never been that, and God bless them for that. They just do fucking weird shit. They're just always trying ideas, and I just love that. And I don't know, mate, I wonder if how you ever, like what you said a minute ago, Jake, how much of this is because of so much of the AAA space is really safe now. Like, I'm looking forward to the Star Wars Outlaws game, for example, right? I liked it. But it is very safe. There's no doubt about that. Super safe, you know what I mean? It's not like, I'm looking forward to it the same way that I'm looking forward to Deadpool versus Wolverine. Which is I expect a relatively good time in the cinema, but I don't expect to have my life changed. Now, early reports of Deadpool of Wolverine is that it sucks, but doesn't really matter, okay? And my point still stands. Yeah. So,
I also, like, there are things to look forward to, like you said, the Switch 2. For me, also, it's like I still want to see more, like, of, like, what Unreal Engine 5 can do and, like, how some of that stuff is implemented into big games, like the mainstream games. Also, like, the ripple effect of... weird stuff that did pop off this year, like something like Pal World, like what does that influence look like a year from now? Or even like Elden Ring still, like Elden Ring has, the Souls games have influenced other developers, but like I don't think we've seen the extent of like the Elden Ring aspect of that influencing other game makers down the line. So like there's stuff definitely still to see and look forward to. It's just not all defined yet. It's not just, hey, Elder Scrolls 6 is coming, or hey, whatever sequel is coming, even though technically we know Elder Scrolls is coming, but
we do.
Well, how
they announced that like 8 years ago.
6 years since
that was a bad example.
Something like that. It was a very bad example. But I don't know, and I wonder, and look, Julie, I mean, look, we've talked about this for a lot, but I also wonder about, like, it does feel like most of the AAA scene is quite a known and predictable quantity at this point. You know what I mean? And that's what, again, coming back to Nintendo, it doesn't feel like that. Nintendo feels like they're always busting out with weird shit. And the indie scene feels like it's always busting out with weird shit. And so you can kind of always go to those places if you're looking for something different and playful. And I think it generally creates, like... I don't know. I think it's harder to be excited about the AAA industry right now when you know that you're just going to get a bunch of like sequels and stuff that's already kind of like more of what we've seen before, more of what's safe and whatever else. I don't see that changing anytime soon with the AAA scene either, because the risks associated with AAA games now are so massive. The costs are so prohibitive. It just feels like they're only going to get safer and safer.
That's why I'm loving AA, man. AA once again. I feel like at least I have games to talk about. Like, even if they're not the best, I love talking about them.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the point of all this block was, but it was just a vibe check. It was the vibe check-in.
An assessment.
Last episode was the stuff we are excited about episode, and then this one
there are
is
some things for sure.
There's a lot.
Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. There are some things to look forward to, no doubt.
Definitely got to acknowledge the fact that the vibes are well shambolic.
They are
Shambolic. I love that.
Shambolic.
That's good.
But anyway, yeah. Segue us out of that. I don't know. It's also kind of like nice to acknowledge and talk about because it also has felt like a weird elephant in the room, I guess, for everyone.
In a way. Yeah. I do agree with that. I don't know.
Oh no.
Do you guys think that? No, we're still drawing at this topic. But this is around there.
Hit me.
I mean, like, we're not on Twitter now, like in the same way that we were a year or two ago, right? It's different now on Twitter, and that was a huge driver of discourse and like whatever.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that features into this as well. There just seems to be like less chatter about. Most people that I follow to talk about games are not posting on Twitter these days. They're just done. They're just out. Or if they are, they're using it very differently.
I use Twitter very differently now. I just kind of
absolutely
like go in, post a little thing, and then just like leave. I'm not really interested in discussions or following anything, or I don't know. I use it more as like a news thing now because
Sure.
yeah, I have so little interest in discourse.
I have so little interest in Twitter discourse.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm actually interested in, as I said, a few publications that I follow and what they have to say about things. And, you know, there's some people that I really I like their opinion on what have you. And I like talking to you guys, and I like hearing from the comment section as well. Because I think the comment section that we have is pretty great. You know what I mean? Like, people actually approach things in a way that I'm like, hey, I'm interested to hear what these people have to say. But I think so much of what's on Twitter, I'm like, no, I don't want to hear what any of these people have to say. No, you know what I mean? And so I think that is an example of how that whole platform, that used to drive so much of the discussion. So many interesting things could be found there. I could just spend all my time on my followers tab and still have a really great time on Twitter. But now my followers tab just has no one there. No one's there anymore. And, you know, yeah, that I don't know if that features into it at all, but I've definitely felt that personally. So
I think for me, my relationship with Twitter changed with like the moderation stuff. And I mean, you know, the way that I used to engage with Twitter would be like, you'd have verified people, so you would know where your things were coming from. And then as soon as verification like changed, and the way that, you know, if you pay for verification, I'm not judging you either way, but it's the fact that
I am judging you 100%. Please,
but it's the fact that those
come at me in the comment section if you disagree.
Get weighted differently, and it's difficult to find. I don't know. It's just a very different website, and then that's before the fucking pussy and bio bots who are now on Threads. By the way, I'm getting a bunch I'm getting a bunch of not as bad as the pussy and bio ones, but they are very like, come and check out my profile over on Threads, and I'm just like, all right, mate, come on.
I get all that stuff in my YouTube videos when I upload. Jake, you get
this
this
too.
too.
Man,
we get it.
Interesting conversation. It's so compelling, the videos you make.
Like, every video is a masterpiece. You know?
I'm like, relax. I'm like, even if that was a real comment, I'd be like, relax, delete.
Yes.
I don't know. That's the thing. Like, my mum would read that comment and be like, wow, this person really likes your video. I'm like, no, they're not real. Don't worry about it.
I'm just glad there are still multiple places to have those conversations, and I think it's almost like we're going back to the old ways where it's a little bit like you seek
forums.
I was like a IGN and GameSpot forum person and a GameFAQs forum person back in the day, and it's like, I don't know, I find myself like how I go on the Roomba subreddit. I seek out my fellow enthusiast in certain aspects or like ways to talk about things. And that's, you know, that's really it.
Shout out to the Roomba subreddit. It's getting a lot of love in this episode.
It's getting it is, really is. Actually, membership's going to swell over there. We want to cut, all right?
Oh, man.
We want to cut.
Oh, God. All right.
Well, we definitely spanked that topic. I feel like this is fucking Lord of the Rings, like Return of the King topic with like 7 endings.
Seven
It just
endings.
Keeps,
I hope
it
that was
fades to
interesting
black
for
and just
people
keeps
to listen
coming
to.
back.
And then I
Yeah.
forget one of your names. That's my favorite part of the ending of Lord of the Rings.
What?
Have you not seen it?
What's this?
Where Frodo wakes up after getting rescued from Mount Doom, and every
Yeah.
member of the Fellowship comes in, and he calls them all by name except for Legolas.
Right.
So there's this
Nice.
meme that like he just forgot what Legolas's name is, because
Right.
technically they only interacted like a few
Yeah.
times.
Like
course.
that guy.
Gandalf,
Yeah.
Roomba.
Apparently,
Silver.
apparently Orlando Bloom has a reality TV show. I didn't know this.
What?
It's like an
Apparently-
explorer. Like he goes on adventures. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
I
like-
keep seeing the ads. The ads are like everywhere.
Well, because Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd have a new show where they go try delicacies around the world,
Okay.
and Ian McKellen's in it. But I didn't realize Orlando Bloom's wife, just this Katy Perry. She's
That music
Yep,
video.
she certainly released a video that we
It's a
spoke
woman's
about.
world.
We saw it. We saw it existed online for 14 minutes, and then I feel like everyone immediately forgot about it. Like immediately.
I saw-
It's the first time I've seen it referenced since then.
I saw a Pop Crave, I think, or a pop-based tweet where apparently they offered it to Kamala Harris for her presidential campaign, and she politely said no.
Oh my god! I would love to see that played at a rally though. That
God.
yeah, that would be fantastic. God bless.
All right. I don't know why I said like that. All right. we're gonna be right back with some music questions right after a quick message from one of our sponsors. It's busy this summer, or I guess winter for Ralph. Everyone has got so much going on at the moment. Jake's traveling, I'm traveling, Ralph is hanging out, having Christmas at winter. I don't know. Why am I
Absolutely,
ad-libbing
that's
this?
how
Many people do.
calendars work, Lucy. When it's cold, that means it's Christmas in that location. Absolutely.
Thank you for yes-anding me, by the way, because I'm terrible at ad-libbing. But starting the day with AG1 makes all the difference. Now, the first thing I do every time I wake up in the morning is, one, curse the fact that I'm awake. But then the second thing I do is I mix up my AG1, and then it helps me feel fantastic for the rest of the day. I'm always on the go, so AG1 gives me that energy boost I need, whether I'm working out, well, trying.
The script is very ambitious with how it sees us. Let's put it that way.
I am actually trying to work out a little bit more.
Nice,
Or
nice.
just brew my coffee. It even blends perfectly into a smoothie. Now that is very me because I do actually make a lot of smoothies. I used to need a ton of coffee, but AG1 has me feeling so energized that I need way less caffeine. That's true. I've cut my caffeine consumption considerably since starting AG1. And in fact, 91% of people in a study needed less coffee after 60 days of AG1. If you want to support the podcast and your health, you can go and try AG1 and you get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs that you can take with you on the go. You get all that with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/friends. That is drinkag1.com/friends. Thank you again to AG1 for sponsoring the show.
So, Jake, let's. For anyone out there who hasn't heard of Incogni, can you give us like the 15-second primer on what this is?
Oh boy. So essentially your data is out there. There are companies that tend to collect it, trade it, store it, and because of that, you
Broil
probably
it,
end up getting
saute
more
it,
spam,
deep fry it. No, I'm joking.
just awful stuff, right? So you technically have a right to go out and request these data brokers to remove your stuff, but there's so many of them out there that it's like impossible to take on yourself. So that's where our sponsor Incogni comes in. They can help with that. Essentially, all you got to do is sign up. You put in whose name you want to be requested to be removed, and then you set it and forget it. It's got an intuitive dashboard that shows you a breakdown of all the requests, the takedown requests in progress, and it's cool to see happen in real time.
Yeah, I actually signed up to it a little while ago, and I've been really impressed with how much it's managed to clean out my data online. Like you get these reports that tell you how much, how much has been removed, whatever else. But I personally have just noticed a lot less spam email coming into my inbox, like a lot less.
Yes.
And that is something I have actively been trying to unsubscribe from things and whatever else. But at the same time, I'm just getting less unsolicited garbage from out of nowhere. And yeah, I mean, I can only really put that down to Incogni because that's only ever started happening in the last couple of months as I've been on it. So I've been really impressed by it. I think it's really easy to use. I think it's actually really helpful because spending as much time online as we do, like living in our inboxes, not having it clogged up with garbage is really fantastic. And obviously it's also safer because, you know, you're less chance of getting hacked with all your personal data and whatever else. If you'd like to check it out, then you can do that very easily. You can head to incogni.com and use code friendspersecond to get an exclusive 60% off. That's incogni.com with the code friendspersecond for 60% off. Take back your online space with Incogni. A big thanks to them for sponsoring the video.
All right, like I said at the top of the show, we launched a newsletter and we said we'd be fielding user questions from it. And so that is where this next question is from. So if you want to sign up, it is friendspersecond.substack.com, or you can email us at contact@friendspersecond.com. This is just another thing that we have to remember. Like, I struggle to remember friendspersecond.substack.com, and it's literally just the name of our podcast.
Oh, now you know how it's not so funny now. Remembering that stuff?
I know.
Correct.
So this one is from the Substack. This one is from Jonathan Velez, who says, I've been meaning to write my user question for months now, and I always forgot the email.
All right.
Wow.
My man.
So
You're finding all sorts of solidarity today, Jake. Absolutely.
I work in marketing, for better or for worse, and someday I would love to be able to work a marketing campaign for a video game. My question is, what do you guys consider is the best and worst marketing campaign in the video game industry?
Oh, man.
Augment your pre-order.
Oh, for
Augment
Deus
your
Ex.
pre-order.
Deus
Wow.
Ex.
Okay, yeah, that was a bad one.
For the second one.
Human Revolution? Was it Human?
Mankind Divided.
Mankind Divided.
Yeah, that's right. I always forget which one's which with first and
too.
second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
the
bad.
orange looking one or the grey one? in terms
feel
like the
like-
box art.
Really? Is
Yeah, that's
orangey or goldy?
Yeah.
It's a gold one. That's
Yeah.
right. Exactly. I feel like anytime Randy Pitchford promotes any product, it immediately becomes the worst marketing campaign straight away, right? Whether it's the games or the movie, as soon as his face gets up there, I'm like, nah, we're losing sales right here, man. That's my vibe on him.
I am so intrigued by the Borderlands movie. I
can't wait to see it.
cannot even tell you.
Totally. No, but also I think in a similar vein, actually, the Lawbreakers. I actually think the Lawbreakers marketing campaign was one of the worst of all
What
time.
did they do?
for
I don't
sure.
even remember it.
So the basic pitch was, first of all, Cliff Bleszinski presenting himself front and center, and he's not a good ambassador for his games because he's not very likable. Like he says some things that just don't really pop. They just don't work, right? So he's not a good frontman for this stuff. Secondly, the whole marketing campaign was very much like, this game is for people who are skilled as fuck. Like it was literally skilled
one
AF,
of those.
Like,
right?
hey, did you play Quake? This
Totally.
isn't that, but you should play this. Like,
Absolutely. But also not understanding that market had gone. But like the fact is, a lot of people don't feel like they're super skilled, and so that doesn't naturally appeal to those sorts of people. And I guess it's fine to sort of position your game as one that is marketed to, or at least like welcoming of high skill cap players. But you also simultaneously told low skill players to fuck off. Do you know what I mean? Like literally in almost those terms, like fuck off. So that was bad, and Lawbreakers as a result died immediately, which to this day is a shame because that was actually a very good video game. And anyone who played it will say the same thing. But it really was very much undone by its marketing. And, you know, once that happened, it was one of the first live service flops. It really was one of the first truly notable live service flops.
I didn't hate that game though.
It's a good game.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? It's a good game. And I don't think anyone disagrees with that. It's just that marketing cycle was so poor, it gave the game no chance. And I don't know, like my read on Clivy is that like he probably wasn't very responsive to like feedback, constructive feedback during the process, and wasn't able to turn it around. And I don't know, the way he talks on Twitter and shit, like, I don't know, man. We don't know how it all went down behind the scenes, but it's a real shame that it went that way with Lawbreakers. So
do you guys play
that's my pick for the worst.
Radical Heights?
No one did.
Well, no
So
one
that
did.
was that.
It also falls, I've said this before, don't have a word that rhymes with shite in your game, because radical shites is what Gotham shites. Like it's
Also,
Oh,
don't
man.
have the word fall because it can easily become fail on a thumbnail very easily.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Godfall.
For a bad one,
Redfall.
I mean, I don't know if it was bad. I don't really remember because it was so long ago. But for Dante's Inferno, there was a fake protest at E3. EA hired like fake religious protesters that were like protest like the game. Hell, like I don't even remember but people had signs and being like, EA is the devil. They're promoting this game that's like about hell. How can they do that? This is terrible. Like, and there are photos out there. There's like videos of it on YouTube, and like people had all these signs and like EA with like an X through it, and like
Oh my
Dante's
God.
Inferno. Say no to Dante's Inferno. It was interesting. I don't know if that's good or bad. Especially, I don't know how that would play today. That probably would not play today. Either way. The only other thing I can think of too is I remember Dead Island. I think it was Dead Island Riptide. The special edition was like a torso.
Oh
guys remember that?
yes.
It was a naked
Sick.
woman's torso.
Yeah.
It was like a zombie body, but it was just like a torso, and it was really weird
Yeah.
to sell
Oh, yeah,
that.
absolutely.
I was gonna say another one that I really remember boiling a lot of piss at the time was Evolve. Do you remember
Oh,
that
yeah,
mad
absolutely.
flow
Of course.
chart of figuring out what you
Oh,
got when you bought
pre-order
Evolve,
shit.
like based on
Yes.
which version you got? Like it was insane.
Yes.
I liked Evolve.
I think probably like hands down worst. Did you guys remember the Ubisoft bomb scare in Australia?
Yes, you know what? I
Remember this
talked
one?
about that literally like yesterday for some reason.
Yeah.
It came up.
So basically, this was like back in 2016 when Ubisoft was promoting Watch Dogs.
Yeah.
And they sent a little safe to a business, like a company in Australia, Channel 9, right? A TV station. And they had a little note on it saying like to check your voicemail for instructions. But the person who received the package didn't get the note to check the voicemail. And so when they got this thing, it was beeping, right?
Oh my God.
And so they had to call the bomb squad and evacuate the entire building because that's what you do when you receive a package as a TV station and it's fucking beeping and it's in the safe. Do you know what I mean? And so, Ubisoft had to like unreservedly apologize for evacuating Channel 9 for their bad PR stunt. So that was
That's
not good.
For good stuff. I can
What
think,
about good stuff?
Yeah,
like,
so there's so much good stuff. Like there's so many like iconic commercials, and Sega does what Nintendo don't. One of the ones I just really loved was all the Crash Bandicoot stuff. The guy in the mascot suit and just showing up and doing shit was always so
Yes,
funny
that's
to me.
right, that's
It was
right.
like perfect for a kid. It was just like, hey, I'm Crash Bandicoot. I got a megaphone. I'm gonna talk shit. And like that was so 90s, like so late 90s, and perfect.
I know we want to talk about good ones, but I did just Google to make sure that I did not hallucinate this one. Do you guys remember the Hitman Absolution assassinate your friends thing?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh
I
my
forgot
God.
about that.
Okay, I'd
was
forgotten.
this?
So it was an ad campaign for Hitman Absolution, and it was select a target. I'm reading from The Escapist. Select a target from your list of Facebook friends. Choose an identifying feature that they possess, and then specify a reason why they need to die.
Oh my God. Holy hell. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and then to recap, the Hitman Absolution app makes it possible to send a death threat to a Facebook friend for cheating on her spouse, or suggest that a lazy
God.
friend identifiable by his big nose should get one right between the eyes. Anyway,
Oh my God.
it was at hire.hitman.com.
Holy fuck.
Square to it.
This was like Twitter before Twitter existed. Damn, man.
Square had to put out like a thing. Anyway.
Wow. Yeah, right. Interesting.
Hitman.
The Game Boy Advance SP magazine ads had there was one. It was like you could get a Game Boy. I think it was you can get a Game Boy Advance SP with like cool decals on it, and they had a little Mario lifting his shoulder up, and he had like barbed wire bro like tribal tattoo on his arm,
yeah,
and it just
'cause-
makes for such a good image, like still a good meme to this day. So I'm grateful for that.
Wasn't there a Paper Mario advert where it was just like you cut out it was a picture of Mario with like the little lines to cut him out, and that's like his.
awesome.
And then they called it like free demo. And it
That's
was
cute.
my
really good.
one of my favorite toys ever. Did you ever get the Mario Kart Happy Meal toys?
Oh man.
No.
Man, they were
Those
the
were
actual
so good.
shit. They were like incredible little toys. The greatest Happy Meal toy of all time. I don't think anything ever topped it. That was it, man. That was peak. That was absolute peak.
Back when you would get real, like they were basically a real toy. Like it was like a real.
Like now you got to get a Happy Meal and you get like a cardboard cutout thing that you like have to, and then it's shit.
fucking
this
voucher.
is a real
Yeah.
proper toy. And I was like, damn, man. So that was good. I think the best one that I can think of in Australia is, I've probably mentioned this a couple of times, but like we used to give away Age of Empires in cereal boxes. Did you guys get? You guys didn't get this, did you?
No, but
No,
I
that's
saw
awesome.
someone post about this because they were like a whole generation of games media and game developers was born from this free.
100%. It was just free Age of Empires 2 on the front, inside your cereal box. I don't know why they did it. I don't know what the deal was. I don't know how they made money on it. How is that profitable for Frito-Lay is what I would like to know, right? But they did it anyway. Frito-Lay don't make cereal, but you.
I was gonna say, aren't they crisps?
It's a movie reference. Don't worry. It's fine. So yeah, that was the best one I've seen in Australia.
There's some.
Actually, and one thing here, we did have Xbox who graffitied all our streets at the launch of the Xbox.
They just
They actually
tarnished streets.
They just did it everywhere. I'm talking fucking everywhere. They just spray painted our footpaths everywhere, and to the point where the council actually got them to clean it all up. Like they had to remove it all because you don't understand.
how
council,
bad
like
it
the
was?
Jedi Council.
No, we have local governments over here. No, I'm joking. Yeah, and they actually, because it was so out of control, like because it was everywhere, like every intersection. You were waiting to cross the street. You look down at your feet, there'd be like 3 Xbox logos at your feet. You're like, come on, man, you can't just spray paint shit on the street. Like that's not okay.
No.
Sure enough, they had to remove it all. So yeah. Anyway,
Some good ones.
There's definitely
That
some
was
more. Yeah.
That was a good question.
oh, absolutely. The rich history of video game marketing. Like, yeah, it's. I mean, even is there anything this year that stood out as like a really good or really bad campaign? I'm trying to think if there's anything.
Weren't there some cool billboards this year? Like somebody did. Maybe I'm thinking of.
Billboards.
What are you
Something
thinking
else.
about the political campaign, man?
We gotta
what?
do better than billboards. Like I remember
billboards,
for was it a Diablo or an Evil Within? I think it was Bethesda. They did blood drive at Gamescom or
That
something.
actually is cool. That was last. That was not.
It
was last year.
So
It
there
was
was
last year,
one
yeah.
last year, and I think that was Diablo. But there was one like 10 years ago that Bethesda
Okay.
did, at least in
Okay.
the UK, and I thought that was really cool. That was smart, like way to.
I remember
raise
I was at an
awareness.
E3 thing and Bethesda announced Wolfenstein 2, and then the Chainsmokers played, and then they gave everybody In-N-Out cheeseburgers.
Hell yeah!
Pretty sick. That's pretty sick.
Anyway, thank
Cool.
you so much for your question.
Yeah, that was a good one.
question.
I like that one a lot. We may have started this episode talking about the fact that game releases feel few and far between-ish, but there's still lots of good stuff coming out. I don't know why I went really presentery with that.
You did.
Yeah, you came
really
in all
went into
like-
that mode.
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult to switch it off. I'm getting ready for Comic-Con. That's why I'm like getting ready to do.
Do people have you spruiked your Comic Con thing? By the way, have we talked about this? I can't remember. Just in case people don't know, do you want to tell us?
I'm hosting the Dragon Age: The Veilguard panel at San Diego Comic-Con, which is
Hey.
nuts. Like I've got my badge right here.
That's a nice looking badge. I don't know why, but for some reason, I really like that badge.
Yeah.
I saw that badge when you tweeted. I'm like, that's a nice design.
It's got like a
That's
little
official.
stickery thing that you put on too.
It's a nice, yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I have been a long time. Obviously, if you know anything or have listened to anything I've done, you'll know that I really enjoy BioWare games. And so, this is very exciting for me. Everything. We're recording this on the Tuesday. The panel is this episode's going to be up after the panel, but I will probably tweet about it or that was something. Talk about it maybe next episode. But like, very excited.
Ask them how many dragons are in the.
How many dragons?
No, I'm sorry. Don't. We can cut that joke. That was bad.
No, I like it.
Do not cut that joke,
that
Stu.
joke
Make
in.
sure that joke stays in. Everyone needs to see that joke, okay? Everyone needs to see it.
No, so it's like I don't know if I can say who is going to be on the panel just yet because the information's kind of been coming out separately, but like the voice cast has been announced now. At least the main voice cast. They have also said that like other characters are returning. I don't know who that is.
Michael Jordan's gonna be there.
Hell yeah, man.
But it's very exciting, and like I got to do the Immortals of Avium panel last year, and that was a really like fun and surreal experience because I've done a couple panel things before, but like nothing on the scale of Comic-Con. And I know that Dragon Age is obviously going to be a bigger audience because there are so many people. There are so many people out there who love Dragon Age, and so
there are a lot of nerds out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of my people are out there.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing at Comic-Con. I'm doing like a bunch of other interviews and stuff that are definitely, I think, embargoed, but I'll have a lot to talk about when we next record. But yeah, so
Good. Exciting.
I'm very excited. I will be a nervous wreck until 4:15 on Friday, and that's when I can actually, relax.
Drink copiously.
Yeah. Like in the middle of one of my interviews, I'm just like, hey, don't mind me. I just gotta have this little glass of wine. But no, it should be very exciting. But there's a lot of games coming out. I've been playing a bunch.
There's not that many, but there's a couple.
There's some Lucy ass games coming out.
There's some Lucy ass games.
Typical.
That's true.
We can talk about those in a bit. Ralph, what have you been playing?
So, still playing Destiny. And I will say as well, what's really interesting about Destiny right now is that it's changed its seasonal structure to what are called acts.
Right.
And they are basically the same as seasons. Don't get me wrong. Okay, they're very analogous, but the cadence of them is slightly different. Where instead of trying to stretch things out over like 3 months, almost unbroken, they kind of have like a few weeks of content and then a break for a few weeks, and then a few weeks of content and then a break for a few weeks. And I really like that. I actually love that cadence. I didn't think I'd have any thoughts on it because I was like, well, who cares? Whatever. But I found that cadence has really allowed me to like take a little break from the game or just like wind down a little bit while I'm, waiting for that next content to drop. And then I can step back into it. Where before you kind of, I don't know, you would play Destiny for like 7 or 8 weeks while it had the bulk of its seasonal content rolling out. And then that last 4 weeks, you would take a break waiting for the next season. And it felt a bit feast or famine. But here it feels like you're constantly grazing, I think is the way to phrase it. And it's a really nice model. And I don't know, I really like that actually, a lot more than I thought. But anyway, that's Destiny. The other thing I played is Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess.
Yeah.
Right? So at first, I had no idea what this game is, to the point where I went to LA Summer Games Fest and I had a hands-on session booked for this, and I legitimately believed it was some kind of character action fighting game.
Yeah.
Because that's the trailers present, whatever else. Played it, it wasn't that at all. It was a tower defense game where you have basically throughout the day you're on these little maps. Throughout the day, you need to explore these maps to find villagers who are kind of cocooned. You need to free them, and then you assign them a role, and then you put them around the map at different points so they can do their thing. An archer, obviously, he's an archer. The woodcutter, he's a melee guy. There's a sumo whose job it is to tank. There's like maybe, I'm going to say 8 to 10 units who all do different things. They all open up as you go. But the combat, the strategic framework for it is so well designed that I'm like nearing the end of it now, and every map has felt like a different challenge with regards to the enemy types that are being introduced, the map layouts, the special conditions that they apply to each different. It is a seriously well-made video game in terms of like how it plays as a tower defense experience. It's also beautiful. The art design is super good. Like, they really spared no expense with the design of characters, but in particular the design of enemies. They're all kind of yokai, demonic, Japanese-inspired enemy types, and they just look wild. And they have like this model viewer in-game allowing you to see all of it.
Oh, cool.
And the music is fantastic. It's very much that traditional kind of like percussion-led Japanese music that you know in your head when I'm describing it to you. It sounds like that, but it's a great rendition of it.
Is it rooted in mythology? Like, is it based around like a Japanese tale or myth?
I actually don't know if it's grounded in a specific story, but the premise of the game is that you are escorting this goddess, the Path of the Goddess. And so she's literally walking in a straight line from one end of the level to the other.
She's taking her sweet ass time, dude.
She's taking her sweet ass time. And so during the day she walks, during the night she stays still. During the day you prepare everything. And during the you get everything ready, and there's no enemies attacking, but when night falls, that's when they attack. And so you kind of need to defend her because they're all rushing toward her to try to, And as she gets closer to the gate, it obviously becomes much riskier when night falls because she could be quite close to the gate. It becomes really tough to defend her, but whatever.
Oh, and then in some cases you'll get the Tory gates, like random ones will, like, depending on the nighttime, like they will appear in a different spot. So you can set up your defenses and move her.
Correct.
And you can set up thinking, oh, there'll be the main gate and then the side one. And then they'll be like, oh, JK, I'm coming out the other side one that you didn't prepare for. So you're going to quickly move everyone.
But that's a good example of just how much they change things up. But what's also really lovely is that in between these maps, there's some base building that goes on, where each map that you clear then becomes a little base that you need to kind of rebuild. It's a bit too simple, unfortunately. It's a bit too repetitive. I don't know how, Lucy, how far into this you are.
I don't know how. I think I'm maybe halfway through the game.
Okay,
but like
so
I've done plenty of base building.
You've got plenty of it, sure.
Well, it's base repair, really. You're not.
It is. You're right. It is base repair. Correct. And so that when you repair, you're basically assigning workers to rebuild certain parts of the base, and it gives you resources essentially. And by the end, there's a really nice little base that you have repaired, but you have no reason to go back there. You can't walk around it and enjoy it or anything like that.
You can pet the animals. There are animals to pet.
You can pet the animals. There are lots of animals.
Yeah, there are lots of animals because they're covered
are they like
in the.
Are they gross?
No,
or are they like normal?
Well, they are when you find them in like the levels. They're covered. Is it is it defilement? It's what it's called. The gross stuff, and then you basically. The goddess has to use her power, and like basically she gets rid of the scourge that's taken over the level. And so the animals, when you see them, they're covered in it, and then if you give them a little tap on the butt with your sword, they get rid of that, and then you can use the thing that they drop as kind of rations if you or your units lose health. So it's like it is in your best interest to go around and rescue the animals, purge the defilement of everything in the level, because then you get like a charm that you can attach, and it can do things like give you extra moves, like powerful moves for when you are battling the what are they called? The seethe.
The
seethe,
yes.
Battling the seethe,
so
or gives you
just because
like,
I'm judging
health.
from the trailers. Are you like as you're setting up your units and tower defending? Are you also running around and hacking and slashing
and fighting? Yes.
Okay.
But then there are some conditions where you are. So when you die, you don't actually die. You go into a spirit form, and then you eventually get back into a body, and you can go back to fight. There are some levels where some of the particular seethe mean that you are in your spirit form from the very beginning. So it's you're only relying on your units, and you can basically like pause at any time and move them or do something. But like you are very powerful. As the character. And so when they take that away from you, it's like, oh my god, this has to get really tactical. I need to make sure that I have upgraded everyone. And like that's where doing the base repairs comes into it, because you get extra resources that you can then invest in your guys to be more powerful. So like it's a really satisfying, like I was going back and like replaying some of the levels, and originally when you play a level for the first time, you look at some of the bonus win conditions, and I was thinking, I will never get any of those. And then I go back with my guys, and I'm like,
I got this now.
Breeze through that, and I've got my extra credits. No, they're not called credits. What are they called? It begins with an M, like an extra
I know what you're talking
thing
about.
to upgrade. Yeah. It's great, and also like she can't move. So the unit of currency that factors in how much she can move is also the same currency that you have to spend on assigning the people that you rescue. So woodcutter is the cheapest one, but if you want a sumo, which is way more powerful, it's like 300. But you can also only carry a certain amount of it at a certain time. So it's also this resource balancing thing where you're like, well, do I want to make sure that she gets to this point, or do I want to make sure that all the guys are of a certain level? It's really smart.
It's so well balanced.
Wow.
It's like the people who made this really know how to make a great video game. Like, You can tell that, and it's also, this is ultimately not an RTS. That's not the right phrase. It is a tower defense game, but Hello Peanuts.
That's
Cat
Jelly.
on
How
screen.
dare
Oh,
you?
jelly. Sorry, it's jelly. It's jelly. But yeah, like it is. They've managed. I played this with a controller. It feels so tactical, and you can be so strategic with such ease because they've worked so hard to make the controls work. But it's also just a really beautiful game because, as I said, when you go back to those little bases and like the progression menu is actually kind of like this. I don't even know what you call it.
It's an
but
offering table, right?
It's an offering, yeah, exactly. Like it has like a table of with Japanese food on it and scrolls and things like this.
And sweets.
Exactly, and it's why does it need to be that? It doesn't. They just wanted to make it look nice and they wanted to make it look thoughtful, and they really did that with every part of the game. So I really loved this a lot. I look, ask me to put a number on it. Sure, it's an 8 out of 10. There's some, it's limited in scope and the base building stuff not great, but it really left far more of a mark on me than many other games have this year.
Yeah.
And for its thoughtfulness and its earnestness, how well composed it is, how well balanced it is, how Moorish it is as well, because you really do just want to keep playing like one more map. Like you really do get to that point. And it's a really great game. I really recommend it. It's on Game Pass, actually, if you want to give it a quick try. It's surprisingly long. It's probably going to run you like 15-ish hours. It looks like it might be a small game, but it's around 15 hours to do everything. And it's constantly surprising you with its new ideas and always impressing you with how well composed it is. I would say that.
And Okami fans are feasting because there are Okami items in the game. So I have Amaterasu's sword. The goddess is dressed up like the oh god, I forgot her name, but one of the characters from Okami, and also you can put a bunch of Okami music in there too. So I was like, yay.
You guys did a really good job putting this on my radar, like the way you explained it. So thank you.
Yeah, it's really also very low stakes, and it slots in because you can just do a map and then log off, and the maps can take 20 to 30 minutes for some of them. Some of them are a bit longer, but then you do it and you're done, and you just step away from the game, and it's kind of nicely bite-sized.
And you play it on Steam Deck. The age-old question.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. So go for your life, man.
Yeah.
100%.
Jake, what have you been playing?
Speaking of 15-hour games or so, Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn.
Oh yeah, tell me what you thought about that.
This is from the people who made Ashen.
Yeah, which I loved.
And it's so I went in with, I didn't really have expectations for this one. It looked generic on the surface, and it is. I know that sounds bad, but I still enjoyed playing through it, specifically because I liked the feel of the combat. I liked the way the worlds were structured. I liked exploring. I liked going. It just essentially, it's a little bit structured like a Souls. You die, you got to go back and get your souls. There's bonfires, stuff like that. But it's got kind of God of War-esque combat, modern God of War. And I think for me, it was the way it was all put together, like the way the kind of areas. So it's not open world, but it's like just a big, it's just a collection of hub worlds where you're, going from one to the next and you can backtrack and stuff. But it's the way all those areas were structured and how many little hidden things they had tucked away and the verticality of it all. Everything about it, and the way the RPG, like the action RPG style skill tree is, all of it just like tapped into like my lizard gamer brain with those types of games that I just kept playing. I really liked farming for the experience. I liked farming
souls.
for the basically the souls, the thing you spend to unlock leveling up. And it's really just unlocking skill tree things. And I love a good like skill tree, but I love a good like simple action RPG skill tree where every single thing you unlock feels substantial. It's always like a significant move that is really useful or a buff that is really useful. those things go a long way for me. So the game had a lot of that, and it was just kind of cool to play through. The problem is that I didn't really connect with the main character or really what was going on, like my mission. It's just kind of like you're thrust into it, and it's a bunch of video game stuff. It's like, you have to kill the gods. This is a world war torn. And I'm like, okay, cool. Been there, done that. I like that it's a little bit of like a kind of Order 1886 mashed up with like Dungeons and Dragons fantasy. I think that's very creative. That's very cool. And I found myself being more into that than the actual direct story that was being told with the main character, who unfortunately I already forgot her name. Nor. Nor is her name.
Something like that, yeah.
But
Nor?
Nor. Yeah, N-O-R.
Fuck you guys.
But again, to go back to her, like, you very quickly cover her up with armor, and every armor piece is significant. Every armor piece gives you not just like a +5 health or like, wind resist, lightning resistance, actual significant things that are helpful, an extra gun charge, stuff like that. So it's just all those little things that just happened to my gamer brain that like I just kept playing. I don't know. It's one of those games where it's not a full price game, but it's definitely one of those ones I recommend. Like, yeah, it's I know it's like, it's hard to not sound like super enthused about it, but it's like one of those like 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 games where you know what you're getting. You go in at a lower price. You just kind of want to turn your brain off, play a kind of double A feel game. That's this. If you like Bloodborne and how you can interrupt attack animations with a gun, this is like the whole game. Like, you're doing that a lot.
Okay.
It's not that level of challenge, it's not that level of like combat feel, but there's a lot of blasty blasts with like cool flintlock pistols and shit like that. And yeah, I don't know, it was interesting. It was better than I expected.
Yeah.
Austin, yeah. So I played the demo for this a while back, and I liked it. It did feel. I liked it. I sort of thought of it as a bit playful. Like, it was willing to try some things and mishmash some things together that don't quite fit and whatever else. And I was like, okay, cool. I liked that it was doing that stuff, but I also worried that maybe this doesn't quite come together at the end. And I mean, I didn't play any more of it, but Austin did review it. That review will be up on the channel soon. He just unfortunately didn't quite like it. Like, it just didn't come together for him. The combat just wasn't sort of deep enough. Issues with level design. The story department was like a real deal breaker for him. And I think he kind of described it as like, Banish's Ghosts of New Eden, right? Had some really clunky ass combat. But the storytelling chops were there, and it really carried that experience. I think most people who liked that game, and there were quite a few people who liked that game, they really liked it for its storytelling.
Yeah, it was cool for that.
And then you've got stuff like Evil West, where, Evil West has dog shit story, because it's not really trying to. It's just a silly game about cowboy vampires, whatever, who cares? But the combat side of it is really fun, and it's just a great game to play. And I guess Austin sort of came to that perspective of like, this is neither of those things. The combat is not good or good enough, and the storytelling is woeful. He sort of really was quite down on it, and he just wasn't a fan. So bit of a bummer. And like, I'm kind of sad to hear that, because I really liked Ashen. I don't know if you guys actually played that, but I did. I liked it for its focus, and it really felt quite cohesive. And it was one of the first Souls-likes. It was one of the first games to offer its own spin on that. This just seems, from what I've seen, what I've heard, a lot more messy.
Messy is the word.
It can come together. Like you've said, you've enjoyed it overall. You know, there were some things that just really clicked for you. I think for a lot of other people, certainly some other people, I've seen some commentary in Austin as well, just a bit too messy for them, and it didn't quite work.
It's not a strong recommend. It's very much it's on Game Pass. It's like try it on Game Pass. I think there was a demo on Steam. I think
there was. I'm not sure if it's still up, but
But messy is definitely the word. I think you said Austin pointed out the level design. I get that, especially once you get to. So it takes a while to get to the cooler areas, but then the cooler areas are even more like fucked up, because there's a lot of platforming, and the platforming doesn't quite have the right connect to it. There's like an odd feel to it with the ledge connect, where it makes every jump, even a safe jump, just feel kind of weird and wacky. And we're doing that much platforming that shouldn't be. So messy is definitely the word. And especially, so some of the messy I like though, where it's like eventually you get like a longer range rifle, and then it's like, oh, that also has a Gears of War active reload mechanic on it. Why the fuck not? And then it's like, oh, if you headshot people, you got a Max Payne slow-mo camera with the bullet going into their head. And you're like, what? In this game? Why? And the game is like, fuck yeah, why not?
Why not?
But yeah, it does. I will say it does not feel in any world, in any of the same world as Ashen, in the same ballpark. I mean, feels totally different, like worlds different, and not on the low. I like Ashen way more.
Well,
yeah, well, hopefully the studio is able to keep going after this. Because I mean, looking at Steam, there's only like 280 reviews up for it.
Oh boy!
I guess it didn't sell super high.
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of interest on it with my videos, and also I didn't know it was coming out. I totally lost track. I think it was supposed to come out a while back. I
don't know if I'm not sure about that.
But it just popped up, like it just kind of swooped up on me.
Yeah. Well, they announced it during Summer Games, the release date, and like I think that maybe was a bad call.
Yeah, it definitely got lost a little bit.
It lost in that chatter, and I don't know. Yeah, like obviously it's tough times across the board. One game can sink you these days, and I hope this team gets to sort of regroup and continue on, because I think they're a talented team, and they'd be great if they could have another shot. So yeah.
Well, from one messy game to
oh god, here we
no,
go.
it didn't work.
A messy game to a Lucy game?
It didn't work because the game's called Arranger, and I was trying to work up in, but you don't even tidy in this game.
No.
I want to quickly talk about Arranger because I mentioned it a couple weeks ago or a couple of episodes ago because there was a Steam Next Fest demo. It's great. The full game is out now. I have been playing it. I really enjoy it. It's basically...
What is it?
So the whole world is a grid.
Okay. The grid. Sorry.
Oh my god, I just got activated. I want to go listen to that. So the whole world is a grid, and when you move, the row of tiles that you're on all moves. And if you go across, the whole row moves, and if you go up and down, the whole row moves. And so sometimes there are static obstacles that don't move at all, and then other times there are things that also move with you. So things like weapons or people will move with you, and then there'll be these big rocks that are stuck. And so it's...
If anyone's, sorry to interrupt, if anyone's not following this, because I wasn't following it until I looked up the pictures, but this is actually, imagine Zelda, like classic Zelda top-down RPG.
Yes.
That's what this is. I thought this was literally I thought this was like a Minesweeper puzzle game, right?
No.
But yeah, like imagine that, and it's a grid-based version of Zelda top-down. Yeah, okay, got it.
Okay, cool.
And I believe it's the artist from Braid. Maybe double check that one.
Oh, interesting.
Double check that one for me, please. But it's a great little puzzle game. It's you have to move around, and you're a girl in this village, and you have never fully fit in properly, and you're kind of like a bit of a hindrance to everyone. And so one day you're kind of old enough, you decide to go out and leave your village, leave the only town that you've ever known, kind of thing. And it turns out the world is a little bit weird out there, but that's the adventure that you're going on. I've not finished it yet, but I think I'm about halfway through. And it's just, the way that the puzzles work is that there will be obstacles and you have to figure out a way to get around them by basically utilizing this grid mechanic. So if you go into what looks to be a wall, you will come out the other side. So you can use that to bypass obstacles or to move things around in your favor. And there'll be these creatures, and what you have to do is there will be something sharp, like a sword, left in the environment, and then it's up to you to figure out a way to move it around your environment and then get it to attack, and then that'll free up a little space for you. I was really worried at the beginning when I was playing it that it wasn't going to fully click for me, and now the movement has really become second nature, and I think it's a really smart way of engaging with kind of like levels in this way, because it's forcing me to think so far ahead every single time, and I'm now at the point where it's become such second nature that even if there are some places where it's quite dense and you're frequently like swapping around and running around, and then there'll be like paths to get to another place, and I'm just like zipping there. Previously, when I first started playing it would take me forever, and now I'm at one with the tiles. I know exactly what I'm doing, and so I think it's a really sweet art style. The writing's really quirky. It took me a little bit to get completely used to the grid stuff, but I'm really, really enjoying it. It's a ranger.
Okay. How did this get on your radar in the first place?
Yeah.
A ranger, so Nick Sutner, who used to be at PlayStation, I was chatting to him about something, and then also it was at Day of the Devs.
Okay.
And also my old roommate Jen, Papa Gender, was doing it, and they sent me an email one day and they were like, hey, we think you'd like this game. So they were right. They were right.
They got you figured out.
Yeah, they got me. And well, actually the other game that I've been playing this week also came via Papa Gender. It is, I think that the dev is called Impossible. So it's called Ete. It's French, so I could be absolutely
E.T.E.?
butchering that. ETE. There are some accents on the E's, I believe.
Sure.
But it is a really fun... I don't know how I feel about the phrase cozy games nowadays. I really don't know how I feel about that.
Right.
But I guess it would be within that wheelhouse. You're a painter and you've arrived in Montreal.
Oh, I have heard of this one. Yeah, right. Okay, sure. Go on.
Everything is white and you basically paint the color back into the world. So that immediately ticks my boxes because I loved that element about Okami. And it also, the way that you do it is very reminiscent of like the satisfaction that you get from Power Wash Sim. So first of all, you're just kind of like, you're just putting color back into the world. You don't have a continuous stream of paint, or I guess whatever it is you're using, because it's this painterly, like watercolory look to the world. You don't have a, it kind of makes you stop for a little bit. But if you color in just enough of a tree, for example, it lights up the whole thing. Like it colors in the whole thing. Okay. So there's that. Then
looks really nice.
You have to, you basically get to Montreal, you're renting this apartment that's completely unfurnished. So you have to make paintings to sell to get money. Bold, because of in a video game, for being like, yes, it's so easy to become an artist, and everything will sell, and it's so easy. So they make a stamp system. So if you color something in the real world, you get a stamp to use, and then when you are making paintings to sell, you use those stamps and you can color in the background. And so you can make actually like pretty good looking stuff to go sell at this local cafe, except I'm lazy, so all I do is I basically put like a bin and then I color in the background and I sell it for $200. It's modern art.
Is it an old 90s McDonald's bin?
I need to go double check my Facebook Marketplace listing.
Like, this is not a pipe.
But so what you do is when you go around the town, you meet people and they all have particular requests and they would love to see paintings of this, and then you have to go find all the stamps and make the painting and give it back to them. And or you can like you find this commune kind of thing and they're looking for a new flag and you can paint that for them based on the brief that they give you. There are different hub areas to explore, and like by filling everything in with color, you get to unlock it and use it. And then when you get your money, you get to go to the store, and there is basically like a Tom Nook ass thing where you get to your apartment and the landlady takes all of your money, but it's not furnished. But that landlady, funnily enough, runs a furniture store that refreshes its inventory every single day. So you go in, you spend all your money. But the way that you refurbish your apartment, like I said Animal Crossing there because, yeah, it is. But it's like, I don't want to say Sims in the way that you can build stuff because you can't. But in the way that you can lay it out, it has a really good grid system that is actually probably better than base game Sims without mods, which will mean something a lot. It'll mean a lot to a very particular niche of people. But it's, there's a lot of it in there that I really like. It has a really nice and satisfying gameplay loop of like, oh, I want to do this, so I need to go to this area and color in this. again, like with the Ranger, the characters are pretty quirky, but it's also it is a very Montreal game. If you've ever been to Montreal and you play this, you're like, oh damn, I have seen these houses with these staircases.
Oh, cool.
You go into the shops and they say bonjour, hi, which is how, if you've never been to Montreal, it's how they greet you. But also there's really cool like learning moments. Like I found this one character who was talking about like the indigenous peoples of Canada and Montreal and Quebec, and if you finished their quest line and got him like the painting that he asked for, it's like, hey, do you want to learn more about this? And you can go and read about how everything kind of went down there, and like learn about the way that this game is kind of supporting and encouraging people to learn about that. So I thought that was also really cool. There are some bugbears that I have with it though, like I saw this in another review. I saw this in the review on The Gamer because I was like, am I going insane? There's one character who's like, meet me in the bar. I have no idea where this bar is, and I have looked everywhere. I can't find this bar. And there's like signposting issues I don't think are very strong. Like it tells you there's this journal system where it's like, hey, go meet X person at Y at this time. That's great. But when you get there, I have no idea I can't remember what they look like. I have no idea where they are. Like the park especially is a very big area. And it does struggle a little bit on, like I've got a 4090 and it chugs a little bit.
Really?
Yeah. So it's
okay.
very detailed in terms of like when you look at everything. And so I kind of get it, but also like even load times are a little bit slow.
Interesting. Okay.
But the music's lovely. I really thought I would only play it for a couple hours, and I did. I played it for a couple hours, and then I put it down. And then on Sunday, I played it for like 4 or 5 hours, just painting shit.
How many hours into it do you unlock the gun?
Oh, the paint gun.
Is that like right away?
Well, if you fill in enough of an area, you get an unlimited paintbrush. So I guess you've got paint.
That's powerful.
Gun.
That's right there.
So
is it like present day Montreal or is it like old school? Like I can't tell.
I think it's like present day Montreal-y, but like not
stylized.
Yeah, but like stylized. Oh no, so
That's
there's
cool.
in how in Stardew Valley there's the community center.
Yeah.
And there's basically one of those where you and local artists work together to restore this old place, and ultimately the whole point is for you to have an exhibition there. So it's nice. There's like long-term goals, short-term goals. You can just sell paintings all day if you want to, or you can go explore and fill some stuff in. It's good.
Do you guys have this thing where like coloring books for adults was a fad for a while?
Yeah.
Do you guys remember
It
this?
still is a fad.
Okay, well, if
Yeah.
you say so. This
I've
very
seen
much reminds me of that without the effort.
I've seen so many of them pop up on my TikTok For You page recently.
Right, okay.
So
I have
It's
one.
a nice thing to
I've
do.
never
It's
used it.
therapeutic.
Yeah.
I never used it either. I got one or two. Someone gave it to me as a gift.
I got the Witcher one. I have like a Witcher 3 coloring book.
Okay.
we got
It's
one
awesome.
for our friend's birthday. We got her a Cillian Murphy book. But it was, I think,
Coloring in Cillian Murphy.
His
But-
Do they have
expression.
the thing?
no.
So they have the thing when he's on the couch.
Yeah, no.
Do they have the couch one?
But it was really badly translated, and clearly they just taken pictures of him and put them in Photoshop and like drawn around him, so they looked awful. It was
Love it.
it was great. So that's what I've been playing.
Ete, thank you.
Yes, if you're interested, go and check it out on Steam. It currently has 11 Steam reviews, which is not great.
Came
Gotta
out
get on that.
today. Came out today.
Came out today.
Hopefully
Sure.
that
But
picks
if you're
up. I
interested-
think it's a really nice game.
It's on sale right now, 25% off until 31st of July. Grab it. Sounds like a cool game. Support the developer.
Yeah.
And leave a positive review if you like it. Help them out.
Yeah. Anyone else been playing anything else?
Oh, did you guys check in on Concord anymore? Did you play the open beta?
You know what? No.
That's a no. That's a hard no.
No, I didn't.
Jake, did you?
Just did we talk about what we
We
talked
talked
about? I
about
never
it.
played it anymore.
We talked about
I was
it.
not
Oh,
into
yeah.
it.
It was.
No.
It's so. It's as I said in my news show. It's absolutely Jova. Like you can't look at those numbers and think this game has any shot. Marvel Rivals, as we just said, achieved literally 50 times the peak concurrent viewership in its first 2 hours than did Concord over its entire beta.
God.
It's brutal, man.
Yeah.
It sucks. It's disappointing for that team. No one wants to see something flop like that.
No.
But the reality is, it is flopping like that. And now it's like, what happens next? What's Sony going to do about it? Because if they just push this out, my fear is that they just push it out and they're like, oh, God, all right, fine. Get it out the door. We'll support it for 3 months. And then after that, we'll put it into maintenance mode. Like, that's a real threat that can happen with these games because the costs associated with like updating, if you were to delay this by 6 months, pivot to a free-to-play model, that's going to cost a packet, like a lot of money to do that in terms of like your burn rate. And so a lot of these games are just like, fuck it, this is never going to work. We're gonna eat the loss, and they just push it out. They get the upfront revenue that they can, and then they close it down. And I reckon that would be such a bummer. I don't know, man. It's a real shame. It's a real shame. Hopefully there's like a good outcome that they can arrive at the end of this. I do believe this game has potential to do well with a lot more development time. I'm talking at least 6 months to really fix some shit, add some shit, whatever, and make that pivot to free to play. I think there's a shot for this game. It's got some great fundamentals. In particular, if you added some cool, fun game modes, I reckon this could really work. But the game modes they've got in there are so boring. They're just so boring. So I really hope that Sony is willing to make the investment to give this game a good shot. Because right now, if they send it out in 4 weeks' time, this thing is out to die, 100%.
Yeah. I can't believe it's sort of 4 weeks out. Jeez.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, come on now. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Yep. Anyway, that's all I got on Concord. Nothing else from me except Marvel Snap, lol.
Well, forever and always playing Marvel Snap.
Always Marvel Snap, that's right. Still on that shit.
Well, that actually leads us nicely to a second user question.
Oh, please.
Contact at friendspersecond.com. This one is from the email. This one is from Graham Gilmore. Hey, Friends Per Second. Ports of games like Death Stranding, Resident Evil 4 Remake, and Assassin's Creed Mirage just don't make sense to me being on iOS platforms. Unless it's your only way of playing those games, I would suggest playing them somewhere else. However, I do think there are iOS ports out there that are the best way to play in that game compared to their PC console counterpart, like Marvel Snap. In my opinion, one of my favorite games of all time, FTL, Faster Than Light, is best played on iPad. Are there any other games that you can think of that are best played on a touchscreen versus mouse and keyboard or controller?
So first of all, Graham is spot on with FTL. I played the entirety of that game on iPad.
Did you really?
Loved it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Nice.
I liked XCOM on
I can see it.
iOS. That was cool.
Oh, XCOM.
That was a thing.
God.
Yeah.
I picked up my phone to be like, what games do I have on my... Oh, Donut County! That was fun on iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't... Because I think most of the time, I'm... Like, for example, like the truly great mobile games are built for mobile.
Yeah.
And you couldn't imagine... Like, for example, Clash Royale, I played for years before I had to quit because it was making me so angry.
And then you found Marvel Snap.
And then I found, well, it actually doesn't make
bridge
me
the whole
angry Marvel Snap. It's actually a very chill game, to be honest with you. That's kind of one of its virtues. But like Marvel Snap, could you play that with a keyboard and mouse? Absolutely. Would it be better?
No.
Not really. Maybe marginally, but not by much. I don't think so. So those games that are really built around mobile will always play best on mobile. I can't really think of a PC game that I've played on PC or whatever. I'm like, oh, I really wish I could play this on mobile, except for Balatro, but that's just another card game.
Yeah, like
you know what I mean?
Hearthstone too, even.
Yeah, card games absolutely, because anything that's quite static with big clickable icons, like if it's a static game with little tiny things with your fat finger, no. But with a card is nice and big, and you click it and you drag it and off you go. So I don't know. Yeah, nothing really springs to mind about
Papers, Please. I played the whole thing on iPad.
Oh,
that worked pretty well. I thought that was good because
sure.
you're swiping through documents. So that worked really well.
Maybe not the best way to play, but I really liked the iOS port of Vampire Survivors.
I actually like that too.
Yeah.
I do like that as well. That actually does work. I still prefer playing it on deck.
Yeah.
But it is surprisingly good. I played Zenless Zone Zero on PC and on mobile. It's way easier to control on PC, with a controller. It's chalk and cheese, but it's still playable on mobile with a touchscreen. You can still do it. It's just not as good.
Peggle.
I think. Sorry, go on. Peggle, of course, absolutely.
Peggle iOS was so elite. Can't even download it anymore.
Yeah. I do think it's a very interesting point, though, about the desire to port these premium AAA games to iOS devices and mobile. And it's like, why are you doing this? They're not selling, firstly, right? What's the play here? Because unless you're actually going to sell a controller for this, I really do believe that is like a thing. Because I just like... Do you want to play these games with just touchscreen? Like, you want to play Resident Evil 4 with touchscreen controls? I mean, like, you could do it. You're going to sit there for 15 hours on your phone, and the price of the game is quite similar to what you pay for it on a PC or a console. You can get GeForce Now or xCloud if you wanted to stream it, if you didn't want to buy the hardware. You could buy a cheap secondhand console. There's so many gateways into playing Resident Evil 4 and Death Stranding on a screen, and it's properly... how it's going to look how it's meant to look with proper sound. Why the fuck would you want to play it on a mobile? Like, come on, man. What are we doing?
Do you think it's just the mobile gaming audience is so huge that like Capcom or Ubisoft are just like, well, we gotta try throwing something out there.
I also wonder how much Apple's throwing out there too.
Oh, absolutely. Apple's backing those ports for sure. And I think it's a flex for them to show what their silicon can do, and it's smart. I really do believe there is a future where there's this, like, the mid-tier, like, I can absolutely see a future where your non-premium, non-cinematic, non-AAA blockbusters could do well on those devices. Absolutely.
I mean, Netflix is really... The thing is that they were saying that, like, oh, Netflix games has gone up by 30% in engagement from last year. And I was like, oh, so the 3 people have gone to 9 people? Because, like...
They have some pretty big numbers on some of their downloads, but not on many of them.
But, like,
they
some
also
of
have
the
80 games in development.
That's a lot.
Yeah, they have a lot.
Yeah, they have some really good. Here we go. Hang on. How do I change?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you need to understand the constraints of the hardware, and this is what these mobile developers have nailed. And this is why ZZZ and the MiHoYo games or whatever are so good. They don't try to be anything that doesn't work on mobile, and that isn't meant to be seen and experienced on mobile. You're really just trying to squeeze Resident Evil into a mobile. It's not built for that. Like, it just doesn't look and feel right. The experience of Death Stranding is not meant to be delivered through a mobile screen. Like, it's meant to be on a big fucking screen with speakers or headphones. You know what I mean? Like,
Like,
so
I'm looking at my Netflix app right now, and like Storyteller. Hell yeah, that's a great game to have on iOS.
Also, like,
Farming
the battery drain.
Football Manager. Everyone I know who plays Football Manager plays it on iPad. So
okay, interesting. That makes sense.
I mean, it's spreadsheets, the game, isn't it?
Sure. Yeah. Sorry, Jake, what were you saying?
I was gonna say just like all the trade-offs, like the battery drain, the fact that you have to own the most top of the line Apple smartphone. A lot of people in my comments made the interesting observation that they're like, look, if you have a top of the line smartphone, chances are you probably have a laptop or a PlayStation or something. So it's an interesting little...
I totally agree with that.
Experiment. It's an experiment. I look at it as an experiment.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, I mean, for example, they're going to put The Division on mobile. And I played The Division Resurgence. It's called The Division Resurgence. I played it. It's actually surprisingly good for what it is and how it works. And it's obviously going to have in-game spending and battle passes and all this sort of stuff. And in a weird way, I can kind of see that game working. Because it's about the loot grind. And it's about that live service shit. And it's about logging in daily and running a few missions and whatever else. Like, I can feel that. But again, if you were to ask me to experience something like Resident Evil 4 or Death Stranding, like no, I don't want to do it. I want to experience that properly because I'm only going to spend 15 hours with those experiences, or with Death Stranding, it's like 35, whatever. Yeah. But that's it. I just want to enjoy that and want that to be the best frame. Like, I want that set up to maximize that 35 hours because I'm never going to experience it again in the same way first time around, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with these little live service games, like even Rainbow Six Siege, for example, that's also another one coming to mobile. Yeah, sure, it's an online game. I log in for a few rounds on my mobile. I fuck around. I get killed a few times. I log off. You know, that's it. It doesn't really matter to me that I'm experiencing on mobile because I'm just happy to be there, if you know what I mean. I'm just happy to be able to play it whenever I like. But for those other games, those truly AAA blockbusters, nah, man, I really want that proper setup for sure.
Thank you for your question. Yeah. I really like that question. Great questions. We always get great questions. It's sad that we can't do all of them every week. Now then, what have you guys been doing that aren't video games?
Oof. I've been playing a lot of tennis.
How's
Yep.
that going? You got the elbow yet?
Hold up.
Did you unlock the elbow?
Did you? Very good.
Is that what?
Have you been watching challenges and then you were like,
No, I've not watched challenges. I actually do want to watch challenges. I
Oh,
haven't
you
watched
should.
it.
oh,
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
It's
You
great.
guys gassed it up big time. Don't worry.
that soundtrack.
The sound. I know I was going to soundtrack the soundtrack. No, I mean, I think it's part of the conversation we had earlier about I've been taking things a bit slower
Yeah.
lately, and I play a lot of Destiny, and but also just getting outside and just like enjoying life a bit more. And I hadn't played tennis since I was like a kid. Like I'm talking
Yeah.
like 10, like whatever, maybe like early teens or whatever.
Mm.
And my mum bought me a racket for my birthday, and she's like, "You should play tennis again." I'm like, "Hell yeah, I should." And so I started playing like once a week, but that was like a few months ago. But now I'm up to like 2 or 3 times a week,
Oh my
and
god.
I'm loving it, man. It's good. It's like I struggle so much with exercise, right? In the sense that unless I find it intellectually stimulating, I actually don't like doing it. Like lifting weights, I think is so boring. I get so bored, and I have to like if I listen to an audiobook or a podcast, like that'll sort of get me through, but I'm still gonna lose motivation.
Yeah.
So like group exercise classes is kind of what I've always done, to like keep me engaged. And I don't know, I probably mentioned this in the past, but like I used to do a lot of something called body attack, which is basically just aerobics. It's just
Oh,
aerobics,
okay.
man. But the thing that works for my brain is that it's also kind of like DDR, you know what I mean? Like the dance, like those, like a dancing rhythm game thing.
Yeah, no.
And it totally keeps my brain engaged during that time. And I'm like, this works for me. And tennis works in the same way because you can't just like coast. You got to like, you got to hit your
gotta run
shots and you got to run around. It gets competitive as well. Some people I play with is so competitive. It's so funny. Most people I play with, they're like just older people. We don't give a fuck. We're just there to have some fun. Like whatever. Some people though, they're properly into it, man. And they're like, if they're losing, they're not happy.
Oh.
And if you're on their team and you make a mistake,
Oh, do they
they're
get
not
mad at
happy.
you? Oh my god.
they don't get mad, but they have this kind of. Some of them will have this thing where they're clearly not impressed, and you know what I mean.
That's where I'm
and
out.
it's kind of,
That's where
just
I'm
like,
like, nope.
look, relax. We're all just here to have a
Yeah.
good time. It's no big deal, No one here is training for Wimbledon.
So you play doubles or you play singles?
It's both. It's like whatever. It's like group classes, and so you mix up different people.
I fucking love tennis. I love.
It's
tennis.
so good.
I used to play.
You got the Lucy Law. You got the Lucy
Yeah,
Law
that's
at the club and shit.
Yeah. Well, I used to play a lot, but my
If you when's the last time you played?
probably when I was about 18. So
I reckon if you go back, go on.
well, no, I was gonna say. So an issue that I have, and also as I'm getting older, is my knees hyperextend, and
Oh,
so I don't know if you've ever noticed. You'll
like
see
Mr.
you'll
Fantastic
see it
out
at
here.
Gamescom. Is my nickname used to be at uni was horse legs, and Jennings legs still call me horse legs. So,
That's awful.
no, because my knees like bend
sorry.
backwards.
Oh my God.
And so
That sounds really
What
unpleasant.
the fuck?
well, so that's the thing. And so tennis, I used to play tennis, squash, and badminton. And I played them all through school. I played on the team for tennis. Like, I loved it. But short sprints, hard stops on those knees, like, I got to a point where it was miserable. And so I kind of just stopped playing. And then I got
That's a bar.
super lazy. But now, I mean, I guess, like, I don't know. I would love to play again. It's just, I don't live near a tennis court.
There's always a tennis court near you. You think you don't, but if you look up, there's going to be a tennis court 2 streets away from you.
Is it
I
like
guarantee. That's how it works with tennis
rats? You're never more than 2 meters away from a rat.
Seriously,
You're never
it's
more than 2
100%
blocks
true.
away from a tennis court.
Yep, I reckon if you started Googling it, you find one. So it's been really good, and if anyone's thinking about getting back into some sport or whatever, I recommend it.
Yeah,
It's been it's been a really nice journey. Because I think as well, like I think, like the life that we live, like we sit around playing video games all day, very sedentary life. We're YouTubers and media people, whatever. It's very isolating existence, like living online and just talking to people through Discord and whatever. Like, often you don't have to leave your house if you don't want to. Something like this has been really good. So just like tick all those, like counter all that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Get
I
out
really
there,
had-
play some tennis, talk to people about politics.
Oh.
Absolutely. Ask them about their personal politics while playing tennis. That sounds very healthy. That sounds like it's going to go really well.
That's what I need.
Especially in Long Island.
Oh,
That's right. It's going to go well.
I started doing yoga flow, like warm up things like every day just to stretch out a bit. And that's been
Sure.
nice. Makes me feel good. I hate
Sure.
it. It's fine. No,
Hey,
I like
just-
it. It's good.
Just quickly as well, I saw for the very first time Wonder Woman 84. I watched the
Oh,
original Wonder
buddy.
Woman, and then I watched 84 straight after. Me and my friend watched it together. Holy shit. Talk about a fucking drop. Wonder Woman, the first movie, we were
Incredible.
stunned
Great,
at
loved it.
how good it was. I was
Yeah.
like, damn, this is a fantastic movie. Like, honestly, I would rank it up there with some of the best superhero films, full stop, just in
Yeah.
terms of like the performances. Like Chris Pine just crushing it.
The best Chris.
Like the writing was solid, the story was solid, everything was so solid. And then 84, goddamn man, Pedro Pascal absolutely just sucked so badly. He had no business playing a villain. He was terrible. The script was woeful. Everything about it was awful. Just an awful, awful movie. Especially the part where she basically co-ops the body of another man. So you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
like
that was kind of fucked up.
that was kind of on many levels. So like amazing how much of a drop off that was. And what I learned actually was Zack Snyder and co-wrote the first movie.
Oh.
And I was like, damn, how did Zack Snyder write something good? What happened? I don't understand. This is really good. And then Patty Jenkins actually wrote the second movie and it was not good. I'm like, damn, that's so disappointing. Because she just directed the shit out of the first movie, like completely crushed it. So yeah, it was very interesting. I've caught up now on most of my superhero films. The only ones outstanding for me that I haven't seen, Shazam 1 and 2, Blue Beetle, haven't seen.
Why are you doing this?
And Black Adam.
Oh man.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh
Why-
man.
Why? No, honestly, this is a project that my friend and I have been on for, I think, at least 4 years now, where we've just gone through every couple of weeks and watched like two superhero films or whatever.
You start
And it
saying
actually
shit
has-
movies there. I heard
Well,
you.
by the end, it's by the end we're definitely down to the shit stuff for sure. And so at that point we're done, and then we're thinking, what's next? We're thinking we're going to watch the Mission Impossible movies. 'Cause I've only ever seen 1 and 2. I've only seen 1 and 2.
I'm so excited for
So
you.
that's like, yeah, I'm actually really pumped for that. And what was the other one we're thinking about? Something
Oh, you should do
else, some
Fast and
other series.
Furious.
That's the other one, actually. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Because I think I've only seen one, and now I believe there are 45 of those movies.
There are
so I need to catch up.
10 plus Hobbs and
Yeah.
Shaw.
Yeah.
So
Right, okay.
there's a thing that happens in Fast 8 that has been building up for like 6 movies. And I was back in the UK at this time, and it was when Fast 9 was coming out. So like me and my friend Dave watched all of them. And he'd already seen it, so he's filming me. And so there's a reaction to the thing that happens in Fast 8, and it's just me. I was painting my nails, and I'm literally freaking out, just like,
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I saw
Oh,
Mamma
sweet.
Mia for the first time.
No
yesterday.
way! Oh my god! Who
Here
did
we
you
go
with, your
again.
Mum?
What a film.
it's
No,
great.
yeah, Amanda was like, we need to watch this. And I was like, okay.
Right.
Um,
I
yeah,
haven't seen
it's
the
kind of-
sequel. Did you watch
it's so
just the first
obvious
one?
that it's going to be Pierce Brosnan, like right from the beginning. Like, I was like, oh, it's going to be him. And sure enough, it was.
Wow. Have you seen him recently? Good
Yeah.
lord.
Yeah. Yeah,
He
that's
can't
Dr.
keep
Fate
getting
right there.
away with it. No, his Instagram, good lord.
Yeah, it was really good, actually. I also I have like a weird thing for ABBA.
Abba, what the
I
Abba?
don't know. I don't know how to say
What
it.
the hell?
Abba?
I have a weird thing for Abba. I'm sensing a fake fan. I'm
fake
sensing
fan
a
of
fake
Abba.
Abba fan. That's right, Abba.
I thought you were gonna reach and pull a copy of ABBA Gold. Like, what a fake fan have, and this.
This? Oh.
You know,
I do love me some Fernando. That's like one of my favorite songs, to be honest.
It was exciting to watch it and see like what the next needle drop would be and be like, oh yeah, like I was just like there for the songs.
my dad got married in like 15 years ago. When he and my stepmom got married, their wedding reception was just ABBA Gold on repeat. It
That's sick.
was great.
cool.
Respect. God
pretty
bless
cool.
him.
It was
That
great.
works.
Cool.
But that's not the only film you've seen, Jake. I don't know why I said that in such a creepy way. That's not the only film you've seen. You've seen.
Oh yeah, I saw Twisters.
How is
Oh,
that?
I hear
Yeah.
that's awesome. Is it good? Is it good? I hear
Just
it's
a
great.
good time at the movies.
Glenn Powell Summer.
Yeah, it is.
He
You're
is.
damn right it is. I really like the original so much.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
And it's one of those like untouchable ones. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. This was a good time. I think it was just as fun but the original had a little bit more like terror to it, a little bit more fear.
It was scary.
Yeah, this one not as scary, but just as much fun. So I was happy. It's kind of like Top Gun Maverick, where it's just like it's so simple. It's kind of just like, all right, cool, and then that's it. Like that's all you really get out of it. But it's good, and Glenn Powell is really good. And ultimately, in the movie, he's a YouTuber. He goes around in his crazy truck. They don't care about science. He has a live stream and like they do YouTube videos. They have 1 million subscribers and they film tornadoes.
Celebs, they're just like us.
He just like me for real. Absolutely.
But it turns out that the YouTuber's nice, and that's it. And I'm like, finally, for once, that's it. But no, really good movie. Special effects were good. It had a lot of really good sequences. Yeah, it was just a good time. It's really simple. There's not like too much to it. A really good, like, because I don't connect a lot. I say this as like a fucking guy from New York, but like I don't connect with like cowboys and country and like being out in the field and driving a Dodge and fucking around. But this movie kind of helps you be like, oh hell yeah, this is sick. Yeah. This is really cool. Maybe I'm a rootin' tootin' cowboy after all.
Maybe I'm that guy. Did you do the?
You're like Billy Crystal out there on a horse. That'll be you.
So I don't know if this has made it to Australia, Ralph, but over here, I feel like ever since they've always had them, but like when the Barbie one really took off, they have the installations in the cinema lobby. So for Barbie, there were pictures of everyone in the Barbie box from last year. Twisters has a really good one, which is basically a tube. And then you push a button, and then it just blasts air in there. So
I reckon that'd be great for women, because their hair would go crazy. Most dudes would just kind of stand there and like their shirt will get a bit. Like, okay, it's like that is it. Okay, right, fair enough. That's cool.
I've seen a lot of people do it in 40x, Twisters in 40x.
Yeah, it's definitely I am just as annoyed of people in movie theaters. Like I feel like etiquette at movie theaters have gotten awful. Everybody's on their phone. Nobody gives a fuck. But
is it really like that? I don't think it's quite like that in Australia, by the way, because I hear I watched Red Letter, obviously, and they're always about that shit.
They've always
they hate going to the movies. They hate people so much, and I'm always like, I don't feel like in Australia you can go to the movies and people will still shut the fuck up and watch the movie. Like that still exists here, I think.
I think not enough people watch the end of The Simpsons with the shh. That's like that's what we need. Sure. But I think so I'm pretty cynical with the theater going experience, but I still like it. I still like the screen, the loudness, and I thought this is the type of movie you go for that. I mean, that's why we went when the original came out. Did I see that in theaters? No, I would have been. I'm not gonna say how old I would have been, but no, I didn't see it in theaters. But like movies like that, you see in a theater, in my opinion, totally if you can.
Yeah.
Well,
I heard a story that there was like originally a kissing scene in that, and then Steven Spielberg cut it or whatever.
Yeah.
It is another like sexless movie. It's just like a bunch of hot people not doing anything.
Yeah.
Well,
Glenn Powell, man, my goodness,
he's in good shape.
He's in great shape.
Yeah, a lot of cool jackets in the movie. A lot of good men's fashion.
Did see you post about the jackets.
Yeah, I've been trying to find the jacket he was wearing in the movie. I was like, I could wear that. Can we get that? Yeah. The hunt continues. Lucy, tell me about long legs real quick.
I was gonna say I have also.
What is the deal with this? I don't know any
movies.
this. Is it scary? What is it?
I think rumors of how scary it is have been overplayed. I didn't find it particularly scary. There are a couple of jump scares in it, but it's mostly like just like a weird thing in the background. And some people in the screening I was at definitely were like, ugh, at that. But I think I'm just dead inside, so I didn't get spooked. Long Legs, Nicolas Cage plays a serial killer called Longlegs. And he's very, very creepy in it. And it has I'm not saying it's exactly like Seven. I think Seven, take that, and that is its own perfect thing. It definitely riffs off Seven a lot, and actually, even sometimes the way that it's shot. I know that this is probably shot before Alan Wake 2 came out, but like there was a lot of similarities. I was like watching it, and I was like, oh, this has big Alan Wake kind of vibes, Twin Peaksy vibes, as well. And there is the FBI agent who is on the hunt for Longlegs, who is a serial killer, and I don't want to spoil too much more about it. It's become
I didn't even know Nick Cage was in it.
Yes. So I think the marketing for this movie has been quite clever. So there was a thing where they did, they recorded the actor when she saw Nicolas Cage because he's wearing makeup and prosthetics for the first time, and they recorded her heartbeat when she saw him for the first time, and like they released that as the video, but they didn't show what Nick Cage looked like. And so I'd already seen that going to the movie, so I was already kind of like amped up. And also just the way that it's shot and Nick Cage's, people are like, has he gone full Nick Cage? And I think weirdly this is kind of a restrained performance for him, but I think he's really good in it. He's very, very creepy, and the whole backstory, or at least like there's a lot of references to the fact that he might have been like this glam rocker. And so there are bits where he randomly just bursts into song, and it's terrifying. There's a bit like when he's in the car and he just starts screaming. And there's another one where he just goes... The thing is that I've been singing this song so much, to the point where me and my friends went out last week and we got this really fancy dinner, and we were really drunk afterwards, and I was just sending them voice notes going, "Let me in now," because that's the song that he sings. I really enjoyed it overall. I know some people kind of didn't really vibe with the direction that it takes, but I liked it. I like horror films though, so it was a good time for me.
I always like Nick Cage doing like bizarro horror movies.
I mean, when let me tell you, he commits to it. He gives it his all, and I think for a character as weird as Longlegs, also that like he says something like, "Oh, excuse me, I must have put my long legs on today." Like he says some really creepy shit. I liked it a lot. Anyway, it's a good movie.
I will be checking it out. I'm actually quite interested. I feel like I have to catch up on a huge amount of Nick Cage filmography. Like there's a lot of, I haven't seen the what's the Unbearable Weight of Talent or whatever it's
called. That was good. Dream Scenario was really good.
I haven't seen Pig, which I understand is
Pig
his,
is great.
magnum opus.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of Nick Cage stuff that there's always stuff to check out, and I'm behind.
I liked Renfield.
I loved Renfield.
Yeah, I had a good time with Renfield.
Does he have like a TV show out at the moment as well called like something or other? He's in a TV show right now. I've seen billboards around for some Nick Cage TV show. 100%. That's the thing.
Nick Cage TV show?
Unless there's an actor that looks exactly like Nick Cage, but it's not him. I don't know. Anyway.
Now I kind of want to know. But I'll Google after. Anyway, it's been another episode of the Friends Per Second podcast. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. If you follow us on podcast feeds, if you would like to rate, it helps us out a lot. We really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who's also signed up for the newsletter. That's friendspersecond.substack.com. One more final plug for good measure. We appreciate it. And we'll be back again in a couple of weeks. God, Thank Goodness You're Here will be out so I can...
Yes.
Okay. I'm so excited to talk about it. Anyway, I've been Lucy. He's been Ralph. He's been Jake. Take us home.
Tie your shoes and go to bed. Get out of here. Leave. Go.
I'm out of here.
Goodbye.